tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Fuck, I feel like I already said that. Nevertheless, boop, 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 boop. Yep. Hey, if you disagree with that topic, if you think that God is real, feel free to request to join. You got to be 18 or older. You got to believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. I was pondering today, and one of the things that I was pondering about is I've been further thinking about whether or not time could have a beginning. So here's like an argument that I've come up with to think that time isn't real, or sorry, fuck, that's not the one, that time didn't have a beginning. Is okay, so if time has a beginning, then there's going to be like a change from a state without time to a state with time. But changes are things that happen, which means that changes are events, because that's just the definition of an event, is like a thing that happens. So any change that occurs, like time coming into existence, would need to itself be an event, and events are in time, which means that there would need to be time before time in order for time to come into existence. So it couldn't have done that. It must have always existed. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
Yep, how old are you?
35 today.
Yep, and what religion?
Atheist.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks. Asked you last week if I could come up and ask a question.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So when people like to attack the Kalam, they usually go after P2 and say that the universe didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to attack P1. And this is my syllogism. Everything that begins to exist has a natural cause. Supernatural causes are not natural causes. God would be a supernatural cause. Therefore, God is not the cause of things that begin to exist.
I think I would need to see it written out to know if it's valid. But yeah, I've heard arguments like this. I think that this is fine, although it doesn't necessarily disagree with the first premise. It kind of creates like a parody premise, is what these sorts of arguments do. It says like, not only do things that begin to exist have a cause, but they have like this specific sort of cause based on the exact same evidence that people would use to say that everything that begins to exist has a cause. So I think that argument probably works. It's just, but it doesn't really reject the first premise. It kind of accepts it and then uses whatever justification your opponent gives to motivate a premise that leads to the opposite conclusion.
Yeah, I think my issue mainly with the first premise of the Kalam is that it's underdefined, and so by adding natural cause as opposed to just like any sort of cause is like the main crux of my argument.
Yeah, sure. I think it has potential. But hey, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. If you want like a good paper that's similar to that, you should read into Felipe Leon's paper about material causation. It's an argument against creation ex nihilo. Basically, it argues like along the same sort of line of thought. But hey, if you're in that guest request box, if you want to debate whether or not God exists, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists, be that, perhaps like an evidence or an argument. But again, like, big happy birthday. Yeah, big happy birthday to Arpy. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Yep, how old are you?
50-ish.
Yeah, and are you connected to Bluetooth? You might want to unbluetooth or like take your headphones out. It's a bit hard to hear you.
No, I'm not connected to Bluetooth or anything like that.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So you're like 50-ish. What religion are you?
Christian.
Okay. What makes you think God exists?
Um, um, the deduction that think, and you guys were just talking about
Wait,
this, I
sorry,
believe.
your mic quality is like
Um,
flipping in and out. Can you say that last sentence again?
can you hear me now?
A little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think you guys were just touching on this. I think you were just touching on this point that I'm about to bring up. But what makes it for me is the fact that I can look around and see that anything beneficial for us as humans requires someone to build it, and they have to be intelligent and thoughtful of us.
What?
Anything.
I don't think that's true.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
If you look around,
There's just like lots of counterexamples
if you look
to
around
that.
anything around you, okay, I want to hear your examples. But if you look around anything around you that benefits you or that is for you, it requires an intelligent creator.
What about the sun that gives me vitamin D? Why would I think that that had an intelligent creator?
Because you know that you can't walk into your home and turn on the heat and the light without someone having placed it there. So it's the same way with the heavens. You know, we have a light. Is that sun benefit us? Absolutely. Talk to any scientist. We couldn't live without it.
Yep.
And it comes up every day.
But why would I think that that's
faithfully.
intelligently designed? Right now, it sounds like what you're giving is like a circular argument. You're saying everything that exists that benefits us was designed by humans, or was sorry, not by humans, but was designed by some sort of intelligent designer. And then I say, well, what about the sun? That benefits us, and I have no reason to think that it was designed by an intelligent designer. And then you're saying, well, that too is designed by an intelligent designer. I don't grant that. What's the argument that the sun was designed by an intelligent designer?
Because the sun is a material creation that's made for humankind. It's
What's
the
the
only
argument for
one
that?
of its kind in the universe. We couldn't live without it. Someone, God, hold on.
Can you silence your phone?
Someone thoughtful of us. It's the law. To me, I'm going to say this and I'll land. To me, it's called the law. I made up a thing called the law of creation. The law of creation says that everything has to have an intelligent, that benefits mankind has to have an intelligent person behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a law too. It's called, the law of whoever causes people to get cancer is kind of a cruel fuck. And based on that conclusion, I arrive at the conclusion that God doesn't exist because God, under your view, would have designed the sun, and the sun gives us skin cancer. So that would make God a bit of a cruel fuck, but God being all loving certainly can't be that.
Does everybody have skin cancer? Is that what the sun is for?
Some people have skin cancer. Why would the sun give us skin cancer? Why would it give anyone skin cancer?
Right. Why would chemicals give people skin cancer?
Do you want to answer the question? Why would the sun give us skin cancer if God designed it?
The Bible answers that question, but that's a whole topic of why we get sick, why we get these diseases and all of that, this, that, and the other, and why we die. That's a whole nother thing, but the Bible answers it.
With the fall of man, Adam and Eve?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got a question for you. If Adam and Eve explained the existence of things like cancer, then what would you make of the fact that cancer existed in dinosaurs hundreds of millions of years prior to the existence of humans in the first place? Maybe they were engaging in some sin. Maybe it was something in their diet. Regardless, we have a dinosaur bone that has bone cancer. How could you possibly explain that?
The way I explain that and look at that is I don't trust man's ability to study the past and get everything accurate. And so any knowledge raised up against the knowledge of what God has already stated, I'm suspect. I'm suspect.
Simple denial. Sure, I see. You don't think that we're able to identify this as like a dinosaur bone?
I think that man is limited, period. They can't
Do you
even
think that
tell when the
answers the
next
question?
rainstorm. Yeah, they're
Okay, what do
coming
you think
up
the
with
question
something.
was?
It was how did the dinosaur bone
No.
get cancer?
Sorry, that was a couple questions ago.
How
The
did the
question I just
dinosaur
asked
get?
you is, do you think we're capable of identifying this dinosaur bone as a dinosaur bone?
We should be.
Okay. Do you think that we're capable of identifying what's on it as like bone cancer based on the way that it's
Uh,
like grown inside of it?
we should be. Yes.
Sure. So then we should be able to determine that the dinosaurs had cancer.
Yes.
Oh, well, how would you explain that?
The way I would explain that is this: man is fallible with his findings. So I don't know if it's cancer or not. But even if it is cancer,
You just said it
I know that
was. Okay.
there are some anti-God scientists out there.
Mm.
I know
I have a
that.
friend who's just like that. Sick fuck.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. You haven't heard of that? There
No,
are
no, I
scientists
haven't. I know them.
who love
Yeah.
to teach evolution.
Yeah.
That's anti-Bible and God.
I
So
mean,
there
it
are
doesn't need to
scientists.
be if you're intelligent.
There are scientists out there that like to raise up knowledge that is against the
Hmm.
Bible.
Well, I just don't know which one I'm going to believe. You know, the book that says that you can own
Right.
slaves, or, you know, the scientific consensus across multiple fields.
Right. Anything controversial in the Bible like that you think is saying one thing, you have to get an understanding and a knowledge about what's going on and why it's going. That's what I do about anything.
Yeah, sure. I
I
mean, would
look
you
at
mind like helping me out with that?
yeah. First of all, the slavery back then was not like the African American slavery.
Did I? I'm
Um,
sorry. I think you must have hallucinated something. I don't think I said the words like African American slavery. I just said slavery.
well, the certain words are used. What I'm saying to you, certain words are used that have a connotation today that didn't have the same connotation in the past. It can, such as the Hebrews being enslaved in Egypt. That was harsh slavery. The Bible identifies harsh slavery, and then you have other types of slavery.
Mm.
You know that, right?
Yeah, the non-harsh slavery, of course. Yeah. Except
Yeah,
unfortunately,
chattel.
actually both of these things, like, okay, even if we were to take like
Well,
modern slavery or slavery from like
right,
the 1700s and
right,
1800s, the underlying thing there is people owned as property. That's what makes somebody a slave, is
right,
when they're a person who's owned as
right,
property. And these
right,
slaves were certainly owned as property in the
sir,
Bible. So those were
sir.
slaves. Was that
Sir, I
good?
feel
Was that
like,
like a good law to give?
sir, I feel like I'm owned as property right now.
I don't.
I work for a corporation, a
Okay.
Fortune 500
I don't
corporation,
know why that would
and
make you feel like you're property.
all I do is slave, and all it gives me is enough to
Hmm.
put a little roof over my head, a little food in my belly, and a little bit for gas, and
Hmm.
basically little else.
Don't you hate
And
it when
I'm
your
almost
manager
living.
comes out and starts whipping the fuck out of you? I hate that. That's my
Uh,
least favorite part of
other than
working a
that,
job, is when they fucking
other
viciously
than
beat
that,
me. You know, the fact that whenever I try to quit the job, they send out the people to come and like fucking
but
round me up.
but
And then I
but
get
once
the fuck
again,
beaten out of me
sir.
even further. Like, I hate that about my job.
But once again, sir, I don't know why you cursing so much, but once again, sir, there's different types and levels of slavery,
Hmm.
and I'm being beat up every day because I can't pay for certain
You're
things.
getting beaten up every day?
I do a lot of physical work, sir.
Do you want me to, like, if your wife is like wailing on you, I'm happy to like help you out with that. Like, seriously, send me a DM, slide into the Discord. Like, we would be happy to
Sir,
find you like a place to stay to get you out of your abusive
sir,
situation that's leading to you getting beaten up every single day.
sir, I didn't say it was harsh slavery, but it still can be called slavery. It's not freedom, sir.
Sorry, are you owned as property?
It's not freedom,
Are
sir.
you owned as property?
I have to do it, or else
Are
what
you
happens?
owned as property?
What happens if I don't do
Are
it?
you owned as property, yes or no?
Yeah, in a sense,
Wait,
yes.
sorry. Can I see the law that says that you are property? I want to know what law
Sir,
that is, because
if
property
I
specifically is a legal designation.
that's
It's saying that
that's
somebody
semantic.
has a legal ownership over a
Sir,
specific thing.
that's
If you're
semantic.
using property in a different
That's
sense than a
semantics
person
though.
legally owned,
That's just
then
semantics.
you're
In reality,
equivocating.
And in reality, I have to
Sir,
give
wait, do you have
them
a law
40
that says that
hours.
you're property?
I
Because
have
I
to
want to
give
know
them
that
40
one.
hours.
Or I
I
want
have to
you
give them.
to say that actually
I
you're
have
not
to give
property.
them 40 hours.
Why are
or
you
I'm out
scared
on
of
the street.
answering? Why are you terrified of
So there are all
answering?
sorts
Why
of.
are you
There's
scared
all
of
sorts of
answering?
slavery, sir.
Why are you
That's
scared
my
of
point.
answering?
My point is, there's all sorts.
Okay,
So the
terrified,
Bible
literally
slavery,
quivering,
the
terrified of
Bible
answering.
slavery,
We'll do
the
anything
Bible
before
slavery.
answering, yeah. Is this what you have to
The
do to make
slave.
sense of the Bible? You have to like
No, I'm
equivocate
trying to
between like
answer
30
your
different
question.
terms? You have to
Is
equivocate from
that
A
is
to
that
B
what
and
you
then
got
from
to
B to
do?
C and then from C
Is
to
that what you
D.
got to
And
do?
then you arrive at like the
Uh,
conclusion that actually, you know, slavery isn't slavery.
Is that what you got to do?
It
Continue
sounds
to
like that's what
interrupt.
you're
I'm just.
doing. You know, we just heard
I'm
you do
trying to make
that.
a point, and
You're
you just keep
equivocating.
talking.
You're literally admitting
You
point
asked
blank
me
that you're
about ancient.
equivocating.
You asked me about the slavery in the
You
Bible.
said that you're property. Does it say in the law that
Don't
you are
get stuck
property?
on that, sir. Don't
Answer
get
my
stuck. I see
question.
you.
Stop
I
dodging.
see your. I see
I
you're
just
stuck
don't know why
there.
you're dodging the question.
Your mind
You're
won't let you move.
short
You
circuiting.
you
Answer
didn't
the
get it.
question.
You
Stop
didn't get it.
dodging.
You didn't get.
Are
You didn't get the
you
comparison.
property
So let's move.
according to the
You didn't get
law?
the
Yes or
comparison.
no?
So let's move
Yes or
on.
no?
You know God
Yes or
darn
no?
well
Yes or
I'm
no?
not literal property.
Okay, cool.
So
Then
why
you're
do you
not a
keep
literal
staying there?
slave.
You know what I'm talking
Are you
about.
a
In
literal
symbolism.
slave or are you a
You
metaphorical
don't
slave? Because I
understand that
think
I'm
the
in
slaves in the
symbolism.
Bible, I don't think
In
the slaves in the Bible were
symbolism.
metaphorical slaves. I'm pretty sure they were literal slaves. So if you're
Yeah,
saying
but
I'm
the
a slave
slavery
right now
was
and you say
not
that in a
harsh
metaphorical
slavery,
sense,
sir.
then that just equivocates on the topic of
Sir,
conversation.
the slavery was not harsh slavery. Why can't you
They
understand
were
that?
literally beaten with rods. It says in Exodus
And then
21, 20 through 21 that you can beat your
and
slaves with a
then
rod.
certain words that we use today apply to certain things. It
Was that
wasn't
good?
applied to that extent.
Was that good to beat your slaves with a rod?
Oh, certain slaves just got beyond themselves.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta put your
But here's
person
the
owned as
thing.
property back
Here's the
in
thing.
line. You know, sometimes the person
here's
who you own as property
yeah.
grows resentful
But
towards
here
you, and you just need to
but
show
here's
them
the
what's
thing.
what.
But here's the thing. There are several things back then that God did not what's the word? Institute. But he tolerated and told people how to conduct themselves when doing it.
But he
it
did
doesn't mean
institute this. They didn't have slavery before.
he didn't approve of it necessarily.
He literally gives them laws that say that you're permitted to do
Yes,
it.
they keep. And what did he tell them? Do
He
not
said
be
you can
harsh.
own your
He
slaves, you
said,
can
do
beat them
not be
too.
harsh. He said, do
He
not be
says you can
harsh.
beat them.
He said, do not be harsh to these people.
Is beating them harsh?
I don't know why an owner would feel like he have to beat somebody. Maybe he's
Is that
trying to touch
harsh?
his
Is that like a
wife,
harsh thing to
or
do to your
maybe
slave? Is like beating your
maybe
slave?
he's disrespecting his children. I don't know why he would
Does that
feel he
fall
have to
under
beat
the
them.
criteria of harsh treatment when you beat your slave?
You got to get an understanding.
You gotta give answers, bud.
It's not like you think it is today.
I'm just trying to get clear on this. Is that an example of harsh slavery? Beating your slave with a rod,
No,
is that harsh
no,
slavery?
they didn't go around beating their slaves every day,
I'm
sir.
asking you, if you beat your slave with a rod, is that harsh slavery?
Because the scripture said, be sure to
Okay,
treat
no
these
answer, it
with fairness
seems.
and justice.
Incapable of answering.
They were treated with fairness
Is
and
that
justice.
harsh
sir.
slavery? Beating your slave with a rod?
Does people get beat today by
Okay.
police?
Yeah, another dodge. Cool, yeah. Isn't that like a grave injustice when that happens?
Does people get beat today by
They do.
police?
It's a horrible injustice, yeah.
Right. No, not necessarily.
You don't
It's
think
part
it's
of
you don't think
justice.
the police beating people is a horrible injustice?
No, sometimes it called
Okay.
for it. Now,
Okay.
come on now. Come on, man.
Yeah, what's the example
If a
that you
person
have
is
of like
acting
a
wild,
person, like the
swinging their
police
arms,
like fucking
and the
wailing on
police
someone
tell
and you're
them,
like,
the
yeah,
police tell them
yeah,
to be
fuck yeah,
still,
let's go
that they're
cops.
under arrest.
Let's go cops. Let's go.
Yeah, what do you
Let's
think they give
go
them sticks
cops.
for?
Let's go. Can I just get like an example of that?
Why do you think they give them mace?
I want to know what the
Why do
example
you think
is where
they
you
have?
think that
Why
it's
you
like
think they?
totally fine for the cops
Why
to
do
just
you
be like
think they
fucking
have
wailing
pew
on
pews?
somebody.
Because the pew pews are needed sometime. Why?
I
do you think they
totally
give
agree
it to
that they're needed
Come
sometimes,
on,
but what
man.
would never
Come
be
on, man.
acceptable is
All
wailing
right.
on a
Beating
suspect who's
a
already
wailing is
detained.
needed sometimes, sir.
Can you give me an example of a
Have you
time
ever
where
been
it
a
would be
police?
acceptable to
Have you ever
wail
been
on
a
a
police?
suspect who's already detained?
Yeah, they tell them to put their hands
If I
behind their
laugh,
back,
you know,
and they
nobody
start
nobody
and they
realizes that
start
my
trying
answers
to.
make no sense.
they start trying to punch the cop out instead of putting their hands
with their hands
their
behind their backs. Are they doing like fucking
No,
spin jitsu?
I said instead of putting their hands behind the back.
I'm asking in scenarios where they're already detained.
Oh, no, that would be an injustice.
Oh, okay, cool. So when somebody is like your slave, right? They're your property. Would it ever be anything other than an injustice to start like fucking wailing on them?
If it was, God took care of that owner. But most of the times,
what scripture says not to do that?
They were only going to wail on you if you was way out of line.
Of course, yeah. You know, to get put back into line and know your place as a
first
slave.
Of all, you gotta know and understand God's personality. There's no injustice.
Sounds like a sick fuck.
None.
I mean, what you described sounds like a horrible injustice. It's such an injustice that you couldn't even answer my question on it.
Man, I'm sorry that you can't see that sometimes people need to be brought under control.
I'm sorry that you're incapable of engaging honestly in this discussion and incapable of answering the question, so you have to straw man my position instead.
But sometimes people need to be brought under control.
Maybe in your world, slavery makes sense. Maybe in your world, you think slavery is a good thing to do. In my world, it's never okay to do slavery.
No, sir.
Do you think it's ever okay to institute slavery? Is it ever okay to institute that or permit that?
But all I can tell you is there's a lot of things you don't understand.
Oh, wow, gosh, you know, I thought slavery was really bad, and then you reminded me that there are a lot of things that I don't understand, and now I'm like convinced that actually I was mistook to think that slavery is bad.
You insist on criticizing God, so go right ahead. Okay. I just tried to help you. That's all.
Are you familiar with the story of the Amalekites?
I know all about them.
Sure. Do you think that when God said, go slaughter the men, the women, the children, and the infants of the Amalekites, that the babies specifically deserved the death penalty?
Take them out of here.
Okay. So you do think sometimes babies deserve the death penalty?
Just like the babies in Noah's flood died, and just like the babies today are going to pass.
Okay. I think you're a bit of a sick fuck.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
You can think that.
Well, thanks so much for coming on up. I think you're kind of a despicable piece of shit if you think that sometimes babies deserve the death penalty.
And you don't care to know as to why. You don't care.
What did they do?
You just want to draw your own conclusion.
You think innocent people deserve the death penalty? You have a horrible model of justice.
Man, please.
You disagree with that? You literally said that these innocent babies deserve the death penalty.
Parents are responsible for their children.
Okay.
And when people are wicked,
you can kill their kids.
They are training their children to be just like them.
Somebody cut me off in traffic, so I fucking shot his kid. Get out of here.
No, they're training their children to be just like them.
That's why I shot the kid.
No, God don't shoot people in traffic.
Oh, are you sure?
God is just.
You know, he shoots people whose great grandparents committed a crime against his people.
No.
That's exactly what the Amalekites did.
The Amalekites were wicked, sir.
Oh, sorry. And what were they getting punished for?
All their wickedness.
They were getting punished for one specific act of wickedness. Do you know what it was?
No.
Yes. It literally says in the verse. I'll pull it up for you.
They had a whole bunch of them. They were bound down to idols, first of all. They refused to acknowledge the true God. They was running around having all sorts of sex. They were running around having immorality with animals. They were running around unaliving people left.
Sorry, wait, what's the verse for any of that?
People like that have to go.
What's the verse? You just made a ton of claims that are false. What's the verse that they, I don't know, like worshipped false idols or had sex with animals or, you know, did any of that other stuff?
Well, we know that God doesn't do things for
of course. You know, God did this to them because they were fucking animals. And we know that they were fucking animals because God did this to them. You know, how will I penetrate your circular argument?
They were killing babies, unaliving babies. They were doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. What's the verse for that?
Absolutely. Because we know God.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Another circular justification, you know.
Right.
God killed them because they were sacrificing babies. And we know that they were sacrificing babies because God killed them.
Did you know that God hates?
Is that correct? Is that like an accurate summary of your argument just now?
He hates to unalive the wicked. He even hates that.
Oh, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, he seems to revel in the unaliving of the innocent even.
He hates that.
Are you sure?
So
doesn't seem like it.
Really wicked for him to bring about a flood or something. You
Do you
have to
think
be,
that the
and that's the way
babies
the
were
world is
wicked?
now.
Like the newborns were wicked?
They're going to be just like their parents.
Okay, but at the state when they got killed, were they wicked?
In God's eyes, yeah, His justice seen what they were doing. Them babies will grow up and chop you up.
That's great. Do you think that you're guilty even before you've done the crime?
And God can see all things, sir.
Yeah. So does God think that you're guilty before you've done the crime?
He can see what these people are going to become, sir.
Do you think that answers the question?
He don't always use his foreknowledge that way, but when he needs to, he can.
Does God think that you're guilty before you've committed the crime?
No, sir.
Oh. So then God did give the death penalty to these innocent babies.
These were guilty, sir.
What crime?
They were guilty of the crime of sin. They were born in it.
Oh.
Yeah, but they
So
made
would it
some
have been
changes.
just for God to go and kill the Israelite babies too?
They made some changes, and they said that they would serve God.
But everybody's born in sin, I thought.
They are, but if you decide
Sure.
to serve God, he
So then
covers
everybody
over that
deserves
sin.
the death penalty.
They had sacrifices for
Do you
their
think
sin.
everybody deserves the death penalty?
Yes, on
Oh.
birth.
I think that's quite the
At
crazy
birth.
position that you think we should be giving
At
the death
birth.
penalty to everyone. I think
At
that's like
birth.
quite the bold stance. You know, it's like real antinatalist of
You
you
did-
or something.
You on your way out of here as soon as you enter.
Yeah, I
You only
guess.
got 80
Yeah,
years.
you know, it's
You got 80 years. You on your way out of here.
listen, man. I mean, if you think that every single person without exception deserves the death penalty, I guess I just find that to be a bit of an unintuitive position.
Yeah, they do, because we're born in sin. We're Adam and Eve's
Okay.
children.
I guess I just disagree with the notion that like you
If I-
deserve the
if I
death
put a
penalty.
mark- if I
You know,
put a
I don't
mark
think
on
that
a
you deserve
paper-
the death penalty. Maybe you're
If I-
feeling like suicidal.
listen.
I personally don't
Listen.
think that you deserve the death penalty though.
If I put a mark on a paper and then put that paper in the copy machine, all the copies are going to come out with that mark. That paper, I can't write on it, so I got to throw it in the trash. Every copy going to come out the same way.
Yeah.
It's trash.
Yeah,
It's
very
and there's
analogous
only-
to morally valuable agents.
Hey, that's what Jesus Christ is for. We needed a savior.
Mm,
We
yeah.
are doomed.
Gosh, I wish you would
doomed,
save us
dude.
from people like you.
We are doomed.
It certainly seems like it, right? You know, you believe in like a death cult. You
We
just told me
know,
point
man.
blank that you think
No,
every
that's what our
baby in
parents-
existence deserves the death penalty.
That's what our parents left us, man.
That's crazy. That's insane. If you think every
It is
single baby
crazy.
in existence
'Cause they're
deserves
so
the
hard-headed
death
and
penalty,
disobedient.
I think that's insane.
Yeah, their children die. Yes, their children unalive. All
Yeah, and you
Adam
think
Eve's
it's all
children
deserved, right? You
unalive.
think that each and every
Whether
time
they
that happens,
unalive
it's
at
deserved.
or whether they unalive at 90, they still unalive, sir.
Is there a difference between those two things?
Yes. Time.
Oh, which one would you prefer if you had to choose?
Obviously, I would love to enjoy a little bit of life. Life is so beautiful.
Would that be like just for you to enjoy life?
Would it be just
Yeah.
allow us to enjoy this planet, this stuff, like he's allowing all of us now? That's undeserved kindness on his part.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I'm done throwing up in my mouth, so it's time to move on to the next guest, I suppose. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. This can't be happening again. Bro, what? Is it still not displaying supers? What the heck is going on here? That sucks. Well, hey, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Whoa! Sonos Percussion, thanks so much for the 50 gifted memberships. That's literally crazy. Sonos, thank you so much. I appreciate the fuck out of that. Let's get a big W for Sonos Percussion. That's impeccable. That's flawless. Thank you so much. Big W. Support from people like you allows this stream to continue onwards. Ice Reptilian, thanks so much for the super chat. So they're saying it's ethical slavery now. What's next? They say their slaves were also locally sourced and free range. Absolute madness. True. Chase Martin, thanks so much for the super chat. They were killing babies, so God killed the babies to stop them. Genius. Can't kill your babies if God does it first. Helping MAGA, thanks so much for the super chat. This caller has level 5 Christian brain rot syndrome. Yeah, seems to be. Hello?
Hey, my girlfriend's right next to me, so this is her account, so don't think it's weird.
Sure. Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 25.
And what religion?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, what makes you think God exists?
Just by, like, just creation itself. It's
Okay.
kind of self-evident.
Okay, I don't think like it's self-evident is particularly good evidence because I look around and it doesn't really look to be like a creation to me. There's like a lot of things that are really out of place if what's around us is a creation, like the fact that the sun gives us cancer is really strange, the fact that malaria exists, the fact that earthquakes exist.
In excess, and like, yeah, bad things happen. It's not but just because bad things happen doesn't mean a God doesn't exist.
Why would God design the sun in such a way that it produces cancer?
That is a good question. Something you would have to ask him.
Hey God, we were just trying to figure out why you would design the sun to give us cancer.
In excess, like it gives people cancer in excess, I think. And that's just we fell short of God, and honestly, like we don't really I don't know. I think like, do you think like we just don't deserve any punishment or anything?
Punishment for what? I think people who do wrong deserves punishment.
Okay, so because me and you have different understandings of how the world came to be. So you just think that everyone's just innocent and we're just judged by man's laws.
I think that until you commit some sort of wrongdoing, knowingly so, yeah, I think you're innocent. I think that's what it means to be innocent, is that you haven't committed any sort of crime.
Okay, but God's crimes are different than man's crimes.
Okay, well, his punishments are like way worse than man's punishments, so you would think that he would have like a higher bar when in fact his bar is like insanely low. It's literally things that you have no control over you'll get punished for.
What do you not have control over?
Like, for example, you don't have control to be, I don't know, born as an Amalekite. And then, the Israelites come in, you spawn in, the Israelites plow through, turn you into paste with their swords, and then that's the end of it. I just don't think that you deserve to get slaughtered as like a newborn Amalekite infant.
Okay, do you think God has the right to take away life?
No.
If he's the creator of life?
Yeah, why would him being the creator of life mean that he has the right to take it away?
Okay, do you think people have the right to abortion?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing.
I don't think that that's true. So, for example, I'll tell you like the relevantest analogy here. I'll tell you the relevantest analogy here, which is specifically that the death penalty given to the Amalekites is a punishment, whereas abortion is not a punishment.
But you're taking away life. It's the same idea.
Well, but one of them is a punishment and then one of them isn't. So that's why the question that I'm asking, my problem with the Amalekites doesn't apply, is because, well, first of all, I'd probably consider for the vast majority of the pregnancy, I wouldn't consider this to be morally valuable. I value agents. I value agency. I value like people who have past agency and may potentially have future agency. I don't value people who have never had agency. I don't value like non-persons. So for the majority of the pregnancy, I wouldn't consider the fetus to be valuable in the first place. But I mean, the abortion is not like a punishment towards the fetus.
Well, I think you're sinning against God either way. Like this is like why we have this confusion. You think that those people were punished because of sin, and that abortion kills like someone killing their baby is not a punishment. You think it's just like them doing it.
It's not a punishment
for convenience.
Ooh, sorry. It's because they have the right to determine what happens with their body in this circumstance.
Okay, but I'm just so confused how you just didn't understand like what I was saying. But
Well, I'm giving you like the relevant
it's
analogy.
not.
I know the gotcha was supposed to work, which is why I think you're a little bit confused why it like fizzled out. But I've answered it. I gave you the relevant analogy between the Amalekite slaughter that makes me not okay with that, and
I mean,
abortions, which makes me fine with that.
situations are
The
tragedies.
reason why abortion. Wait, you think the Amalekite slaughter was a tragedy?
Yeah, I think.
Was
and
God
people,
wrong to do it?
Well, no.
Was it
Just
morally
'cause
perfect to slaughter the
And I bet
Amalekites?
yeah, I think he did it for a
Oh,
reason.
wait, then why would that be a tragedy if it was like literally the morally perfect thing to do, couldn't possibly do a better
Well,
thing?
because he has the right to do it. We
Okay,
don't.
sure,
The
yeah.
difference is he has the right. We don't have the right.
Sure. So if God
So
came
you
down,
think it's
if
right.
God
You
was like
think
the
it's right
abortion
for a human
doctor,
being
would
to
that be
take away
chill?
life, but the creator of life is not right to take away life.
I'm sorry, wait,
And I
would it be
literally gave you
fine?
the exact same example as we create as
Mhm.
us
Yeah, and I
creating
gave you
a
like the
life,
disanalogy to it.
but yours doesn't make any sense.
Can you summarize back to me what the disanalogy is and the way in which you
You
responded
said
to
that
it?
those people. You said you're comparing the Amalekites to abortion because
Oh
the
fuck, you didn't
Malachite.
even listen. Oh man. You can't tell me. I've told you it like 3 separate times what the disanalogy between the abortion and the
You
Amalekite
said
slaughter
you said
is.
one's a punishment and one isn't.
Yeah, and what was your response to that?
I'm saying we're talking about taking
Brutal.
away life. That's just like
Brutal.
what we're
No
talking
response.
about. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I gave you the symmetry breaker. You have no response to it.
That doesn't really break. It doesn't. How does it break the symmetry?
Yeah, because
I don't.
the way we evaluate the justice of something that's a punishment is different from how we evaluate the justice of something that isn't a punishment. So the question of whether or not a punishment is just hinges entirely on whether or not the subject who received it deserved it. Did the Amalekite infants deserve the death penalty?
But I don't think you're. Who are you to judge? Like,
Did they deserve it? Yes or
what
no?
God does. That's my thing. Like, I don't know.
Did they deserve it? Did they not deserve
If it was his plan. So who are like?
Did they deserve it?
In my understanding, he's the creator, and
Did they deserve
he has
it?
the right. He created life. He has
Did
the
they
right to take it
deserve
away.
it? Did
But
the
you
Amalekite
think
infants
that
deserve it?
okay. Okay.
It's a yes or no question, Rotato Chip.
Yeah.
Okay, they did
According
deserve
to-
the death penalty. So you think
It was
sometimes
his plan.
you
It
do
was-
think
he
sometimes like
has the right to do
babies
so.
deserve the death penalty.
If God allows it.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, it's. I guess I think that's like pretty wild.
I mean, if you, I don't know, you just like, are you wondering like why God allows evil?
No, I'm wondering why you think that it's, why you think like a baby deserves the death penalty.
I think I have no right to judge what God does when he takes away life.
You don't think that there's like any set of words that the Bible could say where you'd think that it is going too far?
No.
Like if God called down a bunch of bears to maul a bunch of little boys, you'd think that that's fine?
If it was a part of his plan, but that's not a part of his plan, and I think that's pretty ridiculous. But
okay, so I'll have you turn to 2 Kings 2:23, where he calls down a bunch of bears to maul a bunch of little boys. This is 2 Kings 2:23 through 24. He went up from there to Bethel, and while he was going on the way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him, saying, "Go away, bald head! Go away, bald head!" When he turned around and saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 she-bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys. Is it still ridiculous?
who is it? Who's speaking?
This is the narrator of Kings.
But who's it about?
I mean, it's about God. Kind of all of them are about God, but this one's specifically talking about the prophet Elisha.
Oh, Elijah. Okay. Well, it was a part of his plan, I guess, to protect Elijah.
Okay, so not ridiculous anymore.
I guess not.
Okay. So it sounds like there's like nothing that this book could say. This book could literally say, then God gave the Israelites like child sex slaves, and you would think that it's like fine.
Does it say that?
Would you be okay with it if it did?
That God gave the Israelites child sex slaves. I mean, in this age, people think differently. And at that time, we all know that those things were happening. And I don't know.
But would that be okay? Like, would that even, like, if the Bible said that, like, you know, take these little girls for yourselves, you know, do whatever you want with them, would that, I don't know, maybe like give you like pause?
You said what? Huh? No, you're good. No. Because in
Okay.
that time, those things were happening,
Okay.
and we just live in a different time where
Okay.
we don't accept it.
Well, I find that like deeply unintuitive. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
So what do you like? How do you think the world came to be?
I think that the world always existed, like the universe.
So the universe was just, so you don't think creation ever happened?
No, nor do I think it could, right? If God created time, for example, there would be, you know, a time without time, and then time would have a beginning, but beginnings are within time. So you'd have like time within time, which is an impossibility. So time can't have a beginning. Must have always existed.
I don't know how you think that, because like there's just nothing in our world that functions that way.
Okay. Do you think
Like
that a
what
changeless
functions that way?
state can change?
A changeless?
Yeah, can a changeless state change?
Well, no.
Okay. So if change ever came into existence, then there would be a changeless state that changes into a changing state. But a changeless state can't change. That means that change can't come into existence. There must have always been change. But if change exists, then time exists. Because every change is an event, and events all exist within time. What that means is that time itself could never come into existence because there could never be a first change, so there could never be a first time.
Okay, so based on the fact that, I don't know, you were kind of losing me, but because you said change so many times, but because time doesn't change, time exists.
Because change doesn't come into existence, then time must have always existed.
Okay, what do you mean?
I'll try to help you out here. Okay. So change must have always existed. There can't be a first change. If, change ever didn't exist, then there would be a changeless state that changes into like a changing state. But, that's a contradiction. So change must have always existed. And if change exists, then time exists. So time must have always existed.
If change exists, then
Maybe I
time,
could write it out for you.
then time. I've never heard anyone try to use change to prove time.
Change always existed. If change exists, then time exists. Therefore, time always existed. If time always existed, then God never created it. If God exists, then he created time. Therefore, God does not exist.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm just trying to figure out this logic. Hold on. Give me like 30 seconds.
Yeah, go for it.
Ball. So are you saying like God exists within time?
No, I'm saying God doesn't exist because if he did, he would be the creator of time, but time can't be created. So there's a contradiction in God's existence.
Okay, so time cannot be created.
Yes.
Okay. But creation, I don't know how that makes any sense.
If time can't be created, then God can't create it.
So do you don't think like God already like created the entire like timeline at like once, or like?
No, I don't think he can do that because time can't be created. That would be a change.
So, okay, so I think we just have different understandings of change. So like if I built a table, that's like considered a change.
Yeah, like if you put it together, yeah.
So that's a change, but it's the same
Yes.
thing. Like, so if I like, okay, because
It's
it
like the
changed,
same materials,
because
but it's
because
changed like the composition of it.
it changed the like forms.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Specifically, a change is just whenever a thing has incompatible properties, like contradictory properties at different states. So, the table can't both be assembled and not assembled. So if it goes from not assembled to assembled, then there's a change there. It's the same materials, but the composition of it has changed.
Okay. So you're assuming all change must have it happens within time.
Yeah, all change happens. Change is the thing that happens.
So you're assuming like time already existed, therefore time cannot be created.
It's not really an assumption.
So you're saying time already existed to prove time?
No, I'm saying time must have always existed to disprove the possibility of God creating it.
This is so this is
I'm sorry.
confusing.
Maybe I could give like a much simpler argument. Do you think God knows what time it is?
If he wanted to.
Okay, so then God's knowledge is constantly changing.
Sure.
Okay, so God is constantly changing.
Not that it's changing. It's that he just like. It's not that he's changing. It's not just because someone knows something doesn't mean like that they're changing necessarily. Like,
but if the thing they know is changing, then
because that's the
they must
nature
be
of time.
changing.
That's the because like time. That's the nature of time. Like time is always moving. Like time is
Yes.
always going. So
Yep.
that doesn't really mean that just because that's the nature of something that you are necessarily changing.
But God knows the time. The time is always changing. So what God knows must always be changing.
But how does that disprove his existence? Like,
Because that means God is always changing. And that means that God is in time,
God
because
doesn't
everything
change.
that changes is in time.
So because if I put like a table outside and time just goes by, will it change it? Like, will it always be a table or change into something else?
Will the table itself change?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No, I don't think necessarily everything that's within time changes.
So just because you learn something or like
Everything that changes is in time, not everything in time changes.
Okay, this is like this. Hold on, my girlfriend's saying something. Hold on.
Hey God, if you exist, please let this guy have been wearing headphones for the entire conversation. Thank you.
I don't know. I just don't think your argument really proves that.
But you have to say that God is both changing and unchanging. You know, God knows what time it is. The time that it is changes, so what God knows changes. If what God knows changes, then God changes. He goes from knowing one thing at one time to knowing a different thing at a different time.
So like if he can like not know the future, like if he knows the future, that's him changing.
Not necessarily. What the change is when he goes from knowing right now it's 10 o'clock to right now it's 11 o'clock, which means that it's no longer 10 o'clock. So he would go from knowing that it's 10 o'clock to not knowing that it's 10 o'clock, which is a change. You can't both know that it's 10 o'clock and not know that it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, so does the nature of time change?
I don't think so.
Because time is going by.
The nature of time doesn't change, no.
So wouldn't that mean it's changing? Because like
no.
The
nature itself, that doesn't change. Because time has necessary existence, that means that its nature, the thing that it must have if it exists, also has necessary existence.
So you. I don't even know how to respond to this. This is like so confusing. Like it just makes no sense to me.
Okay. Do you think God can make a rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it?
No.
Oh. So he's not all powerful?
You said he can't lift it.
Yeah. So he lacks the power to do something.
No.
You just said that he doesn't have the power to make the rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
Okay. Do you think God has the power to make a rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it?
Yeah.
Okay. Does God have the power to lift the rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it?
Yeah.
That's a contradiction.
Stop distracting me, bro. Yes, you are.
No, don't. Oh no.
Okay, you said does God have the power to make a rock that he's too big that is too big for him to lift
That's
up?
so heavy that he can't lift. Surely blaming the girlfriend is not gonna.
No, I don't think that's I don't think that's possible.
You don't think it's possible for God to make a
No.
rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it?
No.
Okay, so then he lacks the power to do that.
No, I'm saying what?
He doesn't have the power to make a rock with those properties.
Bro, you know exactly what I'm saying, but you're just playing with words. All I'm saying is that God has the power to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to make but you're saying he can't lift up a big stone because it's too big?
Well, I'm just asking, like, does God have the power to make a rock that has the property that God can't lift it? And then does he have the power to lift the rock that has the property of God not being able to lift it?
Like, I wish I could just like pay attention to what you're saying because of just how dumb it sounds.
Bold rhetorical tactic at a time like this.
Because you know what you're like, you know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to just create like confusing statements to like say things that really just don't make sense or something that God like, but I don't know, it doesn't really disprove or say anything.
It's like pretty straightforward logic, right? You know, does God have the power to make a rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it?
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Sure. And then does he have the power to lift the rock that he doesn't have the power to lift?
Oh boy. You know what I mean, dude. You know exactly what I mean.
I'm just wondering, like, does he have the power to do that?
You know exactly what I mean. And I know you do.
I'm a bit confused, right? Because I do know what you mean when you say, yes, God has the power to do that. And I'm like, you know, it sounds good. Okay, God has the power to make the rock that's so heavy that he doesn't have the power to lift it. Okay, let's say he made one of those. Would he then have the power to lift that rock that he doesn't have the power to lift?
Well, if you made it so big that he couldn't pick it up, then no, he wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Well, it sounds like he's not all powerful then.
If he decided to change his nature in that way, then yes. In your situation, this is not even about his actual nature, but you're just in this situation, yes.
Okay, so he would have the power to lift the rock or wouldn't?
He wouldn't in this situation.
Okay, so you would say that he's not all powerful.
I mean, if you want to get philosophical about like what does all powerful really mean?
Like you just have all the powers. Like there's
Just
no power. There's nothing that can be described as a power that God doesn't have.
So that, but that could get really subjective. Like that doesn't really mean any. Like, I think you know where this is gonna go, but then we're just gonna get into the matter. We're like getting in the matter of opinions.
Wait, do you gosh, I prayed for something. I just want to know. Were you wearing headphones for this conversation, or was this all through the speakerphone?
This was all on speaker.
Okay. Fuck. Maybe to reclaim your dignity, maybe you can like rhetorically wail on me for like 30 seconds if you'd like.
No, I haven't really debated with someone in a really long time, since like high school, but
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on up. I feel bad doing that to a person in front of his girl. Fuck. And then when he blamed his girl like halfway through the convo, oh, fuck, dude, getting like pile driven in a debate and then blaming your girlfriend. Like, can you imagine? You get like dissected in front of your girl, and then you have to pull up like ChatGPT in front of your girl, and then you're like entering the argument into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT spits out a bunch of stuff that you also don't understand in front of your girl, and then she tries to give you advice, and you're like, pipe the fuck down, you're distracting me. Fuck, dude. Fuck. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends. Oh gosh, I kind of want to. He says you can ask her. Low key. I mean, if she wants to, that would be. We could do like the post-girlfriend interview. Yo, Ivy, we wanna get your. We're reaching out for feedback, Ivy. The post-mortem. Brutal. Yeah. All right, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Had a nice talk with JW's Jehovah's Witnesses, who approached me about the problem of evil plus biblical slavery. Listening to you definitely helped me do so calmly. That's great. That's wonderful. I wonder what they said. If you play your cards right, the thing that they're going to say about slavery at the end of it is, well, I don't know. That's the one and only option that people have for biblical atrocities if you do the argument correctly. You know, the Amalekite slaughter, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess they could bite the bullet and say, yeah, it was great. It was really good. Fucking love genocide. I love genocide. But, you know. Vilk thinks from super chat, abortion and also eating involve necessary killing, but an omnipotent God has no need to end life since nothing is necessary to it as it's all powerful. That's probably true. Philodragon, thanks so much for the super chat. Remember, they don't have a god doing anything. They have people claiming a god told them it's okay to slaughter infants. Yep. Makes you think. Falconhoof, thanks so much for the vegetables. Rose Surfer, thanks so much for the super chat. Hey, Ian, I wanted to say thanks for your impact since I hit my own defeated lion runs away a couple of months ago. Defeated lion runs away? I don't think I get it. Ironically, not living in confusion brings a clear mindset. Keep on influencing. Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Literally Lou, thanks so much for the super chat. for the amazing sounding keyboard and the sass. Thank you so much, Lou. I appreciate everything that you do around here. It's really appreciated. Tim Bimbadal, thanks so much for the super chat. If you want to get all philosophical on Ian's live, true. I love philosophical. Fuck, if only there were a community I could join to hear ideas and maybe even join a book club. Simon, that's a great concern. You know, if you want to join the book club, if you're new to philosophy, if you don't really know where to start, we're reading Michael Humor's Knowledge, Reality, and Value. Michael Humer is a professor of philosophy over at the University of Colorado Boulder. And we're reading his book. It's an introductory text to philosophy. It's very accessible for beginners. You know, so people in chat, tell everyone about how accessible it is if it was your first time reading a philosophy book. It's great. It's a great book. You know, we're reading chapter 12. If you haven't read any of the other chapters, that's totally fine. All you need to do is read chapter 12. It's on Audible. It's discord.gg/allegedlyian, 8 p.m. EST on Saturday. Be there. Be square. Beware. That's a good one. That's a good last rhyme. Beware. Okay. With that, we'll go to the very next guest. Bro, how the fuck did this guy beg to come on? And he's like not even able to like... Hello, are you there? Ten geeked? If you're off...
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Yep, and what religion?
If I'm being honest, like I'm not very religious. Like I know that maybe like it might sound like confusing or anything, but like I just really believe in God, if that like makes any sense. Like I don't really believe in religion because there's like multiple religions and like every religion has different things they believe in. But I will say like God is very real. I'm sitting here listening to your live and like the questions you were asking the last guest, it's one of the things like what I was like pointing out from what you were asking him is if God, and I might need you to repeat it again because I may not fully, I don't want to say something that like you didn't say.
Oop, hello? You cut out. 10 geeked.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yo. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I even continue talking, can you repeat to me the statement that you were telling the last guest?
About like God knowing what time it is, or about...
No, about like we'll say the big boulder or the big rock.
Oh, well, I don't necessarily think that this is like a real problem. I was just trying to give him an argument that might work on his level. You know, maybe we'll see if you have the solution to it. Do you think that God has the power to make a rock that's so heavy that he doesn't have the power to lift it?
Okay, so, and what I will say to that, I do believe that. So in like, because like from my perspective, I believe God is like the creator, you know? So it's like, if God wanted to create something that he could not lift his own self, then it, like from my perspective and what I believe is, like, like he just created that. Like he created an object or an item, whether it be a boulder or a rock, that he himself cannot create. Why? Because he is the creator. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
so he can create a rock that he can't create?
Well, so like not necessarily that he can't create, because that's what I'm saying. You didn't say, can he create a rock?
No, sorry, yeah, that's what you just said back to me. Sure. So let's say God decides to make the rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it. Does God have the power to lift that rock?
Well, and so I will say no, because God himself created a rock himself cannot lift.
Sure. So you would say that he's not all powerful.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't say he's not all powerful if he has the power to create something that he can himself not lift.
But does he have the power to lift it?
But that if he gives not, and it's not even necessarily if he gives himself the power, but it's more or less he has the power to create something. Like, so what I will say to this is like, it's one of them things where it's like, one, I don't even like really understand that statement like I do, because God has control over everything. He doesn't have control because like on earth, he gives everybody free will. Like, I'm not trying to get off topic of the question or the statement that you told me, but it is one of them things where it's like, God is the almighty creator. Someone could look at God as anything, you know. That's why there's different religions. That's why there's Allah. That's why there's Buddha and things like this,
So,
you know.
sorry, I just want to make sure that we're on track. So, okay, he has the power to make the rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it, and then he does or doesn't have the power to lift it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, like, I'm just trying to really understand like your point of that statement, because it's like, one, why would God create a rock he couldn't lift? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to
I'm
me.
asking, if he did choose to create it for whatever reason, would he then have the power to lift it, or would he lack the power to lift it?
So from my perspective, I believe he could like, that's what I'm saying. To me, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to make this like an argument or anything. Again,
Mhm.
I simply wanted to come up here because I'm trying to understand what what your meaning behind that statement is. Like you said, it's like, if he has the almighty power to create something that he can't lift, then does he have the power to lift it? So from my perspective is like, okay, why would he even do that? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's a great question, you know, but God is like so much higher than us. God does things all the time that we don't know why he does it. So let's say that God did do it. Would he then have the power to lift it, or would he lack the power to lift it? I understand we don't know why God would or wouldn't do a thing like that, but supposing that he does that, does he have the power to lift it, or does he lack the power to lift it?
Again, okay, I believe he would lack the power to lift it because
Okay.
that's what he created it to do. You
Sure,
know what I'm
then he
saying?
lacks a power and he's not all powerful.
I mean, I guess you could
Okay.
say that in a sense.
That's
Now,
fine.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so like, it might be a few questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Go for it.
One, because like, you've popped on my For You page like a few times, you know, and I've sat in here and I've listened, you know, like, and that's me personally as a human being. Like, I have an open mind, you know. I don't judge anybody for what they believe in or like what they do with their decision making or their life in general. But not to get off topic, like, one, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I do mind you asking. Next
Okay.
question.
Next question. Okay, so, okay, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. Okay, and have you always like never believed in God? Like, have you always questioned it?
I mean, I started out as a believer, you know, I was a Christian, and then somebody asked me the question about the rock, and that convinced me. And to this day, it's still the strongest argument against God is the rock that's so heavy that he can't lift it.
Right. Okay, so is that what made you like really not want to believe in God?
It just convinced me that it was false. It's not that I didn't want to. What I wanted to do was believe true things, and that argument helped me understand that it's true.
Okay, so, and then what, another question I will ask is like, so for instance, like, let's just say when you did believe in God, okay, did you also believe in the devil?
Yeah.
Okay, and so now from my perspective, like, I see like these lives and I see certain people do these things, you know, like, it's really just debating, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't even call it a debate. It's more or less like getting other people's opinions, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, everybody is going to believe what they want to believe. Everybody is going to have their own perspective on life, or regardless of whatever it may be, you know. But like, this isn't even really a question. It's more or less like me stating, like, because I do want to say, like, me, I'm a firm believer of God. Like, I've been through a lot of my life, just as everybody else has, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's one of them things, like, I do tend to preach, like, I wouldn't say I preach, but I do tend to tell a lot of people, you have that face like you want to say something.
I just want to make sure the conversation is still going somewhere.
Right, yeah, it is. Like, what I'm getting at is, like, I'm trying to
So,
understand. So, like, that's what I'm saying. To me, I believe it has to have been multiple things for you to just not want to believe in God anymore. Like,
it's not, again, it's not that I don't want to believe in God. What it is that I don't think God is real, and I was convinced by that, of that argument.
But that's what I'm saying. Was it just that question, or was
Yes.
it was just that question, or
Yeah.
just that statement that someone told you that
Yes.
made you
When I was like
question it?
13, yeah.
So it's like, okay, so like bro, like you're 25, I'm 23. I'm sure we've all been through many things in our life
Of course.
that make us question these things, you know what I'm saying? And it's one of them things where it's like, because I used to be the same way, you know what I'm saying? Again, I don't want to get off topic or anything, but I used to be the same
I'm sorry. I feel like we're going in circles. So typically, gosh, how do I put this delicately? I'm more interested in evidence for God or like arguments for God, like some sort of like attempt to prove God. It doesn't need to be an attempt to prove God. You could certainly say, I think God is real because of this evidence. Do you have anything of that sort?
Well, so like, and that's the thing, like, because I feel like, again, I don't, this may come off as judging. I don't want to call anybody wrong or anything, but I do believe it is kind of wrong to sit here and try to prove like you need physical evidence of something that is like surreal, which obviously
I don't think I said physical evidence. I don't think I've ever claimed that.
Okay, like even though like not physical evidence, I'm sorry for putting words in your mouth. I apologize.
That's
but
okay.
It's one of them. I believe like not that you're looking for physical evidence, but you're looking for something to push you back, not necessarily to push you back towards God, but you want something to make you be like, oh, well, maybe he is real or something like that. Like, I don't know, like
I want to believe true things. If you have evidence that indicates that God's existence is a true thing, then I would love to hear it. Do you have any evidence of that sort?
Okay, so I have a question. What do you believe God is? Like, do you believe he's a person? Like, so like, for instance, like Christians.
Like a mind that created the universe, like a personal being.
Right.
That's the ultimate foundation of reality.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Christians. Again, I'm not very religious. I don't do the religion thing for real. Like, I just believe in the Holy, like, Spirit, like God himself. Like, I believe it's like an energy almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess you could call me spiritual in a sense, but like, I don't believe it's like, I don't really know how to explain it. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that God is a mind?
In a sense, yes, I do.
In the same sense that we have a mind?
Yes. So like for me personally, I wouldn't say we are God and we are the devil, but in a sense, like I do believe that because like one, it's like have you ever been put in a position where it's like you have two voices in your head, should I do this or should I not do this? And like from my perspective of living life, like I believe like that's the God and that's the devil, you know what I'm saying? It's like a voice almost like, again, like I may sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Cause like I joined this live because it's like, I want to get different perspectives, you know, because like sometimes I do question it myself, but then like the things I've been through have made me like, well, okay, like this has to be real. You know what I'm saying? But like,
can I offer a slightly different perspective here? Hey, and thanks for having me.
Yeah,
hey,
thanks so much, Mezzo.
Hey, Ten Geek. I'm also a former Christian and was even, spiritual for a little bit too. Now, for me, it wasn't the "can God create a rock so heavy" problem, and that's a little childish of an argument. But you were 13, like I get it.
Yeah.
For me, when I was in my 20s, I was questioned by one of my philosophy professors, and he asked me, can God create a babe so hot that even he can't lust after her? Now, this is a little bit more nuanced because it involves a sin, right? God can, lifting a rock is, as far as I know, sin. As long as it's not Saturday, then it's death penalty. But, as far as with the babe problem, I think my professor called it the babe problem or something like that. And it was a long time ago, I remember. I was stumped, and so I stopped believing as well.
Okay, can I say something about that?
That's like way more mature, Mezzo. I think that's a great example. Yeah. You've like double convinced me that God isn't real.
Well, so now that's the thing though. Like I'm sorry to interrupt, but from my perspective, that isn't God. That is the devil.
The professor?
Well, not the professor, but like he said,
this is an interesting question. Can the devil make a babe so hot?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's exactly
the devil can't. I would say no. I don't think the devil can do that.
But see, and it's like that's why like I'm sitting here and like I said before, like you started talking, like I believe we are God and the devil because it is one of them things where it's like God created everything from my perspective, right? I'm not going to say this as if like, oh, that's what it is. Cause like, obviously everyone has their own perspective on everything, like what they believe in, etc. But it is one of them things where it's like, from my perspective, I believe like God created everything. God created this beautiful woman that you're super attracted to, but at the same time, that's the devil telling you like, oh, that's
Oh,
a soup.
no,
That,
Geek, sorry. So you got confused. I wasn't saying can he make a babe so hot that like, I can't lust after, that God can't. Can he make a babe so hot that even God can't resist her? He's
right.
like,
And
oh,
so
I
like, and
shouldn't, Mrs. God is going to be so pissed that I'm staring, but like, he's just like, wooga, like he can't help it.
right. And so like, so from my perspective again, like that's, I don't believe God even lust. I don't believe God, like, I don't believe God
Well,
can
then he's
have,
not all powerful. That's something he
Yeah.
can't do, right?
right. And I guess you could say he's not all powerful because he can't lust, but it's one of them things like, I don't believe God even worries about that. Like I can't say that at the same time, because I believe God is worried about everybody, but at the same time, he's not. So like I have a conversation with my buddy. He's like real religious and he talks about God heavy. And it's like, because he put me on to God. Because like, again, I don't want to get off topic, but I want to say this real quick. Like I used to be the same person that would wake up and like me and my homie would have these conversations and I would be like, I don't need God. Like I wake myself up every day. Like I take myself to work. God doesn't do that for me.
That's where I'm at right now. I think,
And it is one of them things where
but
it's
that's
like,
because of these problems, right? We're like,
yeah.
well, God is described as this impossible being that can't exist, so we just don't believe in it anymore.
yeah, and it's
And then
like,
to go to work.
like I don't know, because like that's what I'm saying. Again, like I don't believe God lusts. I don't believe God, like I don't believe God can have sex. I don't believe God can do like any sinful things because
I don't
he's
think
God.
non-existent things can do that.
And bro, like that's how you feel, and it is one of them things where it's like I believe it's all just like a belief. Like again, I don't want to get off topic. I'm not gonna be on here very much longer. I just wanted to like express like how I felt about it, because like again, I said I've seen your live many times, and I
What
felt
do you
as
think
if
the
like
topic is that you're not getting off of?
that like God isn't real. Like I don't know, like to me, because like again, like I just said, I used to be
Maybe
the same
speak to
person.
that.
What'd you say?
Maybe speak to that if you
Right,
have like
it's-
thoughts about.
Okay, so like, okay, I was speaking. I believe God is very real. Why? Because I've been through a lot of things, and I've genuinely dropped to my knees and I've genuinely prayed. And like one thing I will say is like I feel as if people have the whole God thing like misunderstood. Like a lot of people will sit here and they'll pray and they'll ask for things, and that's why I believe a lot of people will screw up, because it's like a lot of people will sit here and pray to God and ask for certain things, and then they don't see these things that they asked for, so now they're sitting here questioning, well, is God even real? Well, that's the problem.
That's me after my last conversation. I was praying on my hands and knees for that guy to have been wearing headphones, and he wasn't.
Oh, Ian, I'm so sorry.
And it's one of them things where it's like I just believe like that's where a lot of people like steer down the wrong path. And like again, I don't want to consider anybody like the devil. Like I don't believe you're the devil, Ian. I don't know the dude's full username. If you could say it off to me so I can respect him.
Well, Tengi, do you think that if you are genuine and you really genuinely get on your knees, that God will give you everything you want?
But see, that's what I'm saying. I don't ask God to give me anything. That's my whole point, is I don't ask God to literally give me anything.
It just kind of seems like something that you brought up that isn't relevant.
Well, like, I guess, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just,
because, he doesn't exist.
My whole point to the question is, my whole point to the question, God isn't real, is I believe people believe God isn't real because they're so used to things being a certain way. Like I was talking about religion. People, like, I wouldn't even say are placed in religion, but like, no, like as a kid, like my parents used to take me to church, and like another thing is too, is like, you're like, as a kid, like I was brought into like religion in a sense. And it's like as a kid, like, it's like, you don't even really know what it is. Obviously you get to go to church and like you experience it. Then you get to know what it is in a sense, but it's one of them things where it's
thank you.
like,
Thanks so much for coming on up.
I think he was really nice.
Yeah.
The other one that Joel has done before is if, sometimes you'll hear what happens if God makes like a poo that can clog any toilet, and it's like an uncloggable poo. And then he also makes a plunger that can unclog any toilet, what
Mm,
happens? Oh, he said it was going to come. Yeah, what happens when they meet? So these are a bit more sophisticated, a
yeah.
bit more interesting.
I hear philosophers have been musing over these questions.
Oh, for centuries.
Live yours. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Yep. And what religion?
LeBronism.
What is that?
You never heard it?
Yeah, maybe I'm like mishearing you. What is it?
No, LeBronism. We
Oh.
believe in the king.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I mean,
The
I don't
2012
deny the
Mega
existence of LeBron James. I would just deny that he, created the world.
Well, playing in elite level for 23 plus years is proof of a divine physical form.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
the
a
miracle of 2016.
it's a compelling argument, but why do the Nuggets keep mogging the fuck out of him? He's gonna end
Please
up
don't talk
he's
about
gonna end
that.
up on the Beijing Lakers if he keeps playing like this.
He's the king. Miracle of 2016, coming back from a 3-1, against a team that won 7-3 wins. I mean, that's just for me. If you talk about a god, you think about someone who is crazy and who is good and who inspires the people. And I think LeBron James has been inspiring the black youth for a pretty long time.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, like, why is God falling off?
Well, God is falling off because of age. This is not like a God we know in the Bible, someone that doesn't age. He is a human God, and this is something we haven't seen before. This is just the most beautiful thing we have ever seen, and that is this LeBron James.
And how many rings does he have?
4.
Oh, shit. How many rings does Jordan have?
Well, you talk about Jordan in the finals. Please, bro, he made it to the finals 5 times. He's 5-0.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, like, he failed a couple of times trying to go to the final. That just proves that you are not a god or a king if you cannot go to the final multiple times.
But I mean, isn't like the real like godly thing being able to like follow through on it?
Well, people, there's Michael Jordanism. People believe that Jordan is a god, but that's more for the older generation because Jordan influenced the older generation more than LeBron James did. And that's just two big things: LeBronism, Michael Jordanism. I think personally that LeBronism is more real because I see it with my own eyes right now. I have never seen Michael Jordan.
Well, if you see with your own eyes, wow, that's some compelling stuff. Brian, thanks so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Adam Brunker, thanks so much for the super chat. All farts smell like shit. My farts smell great. A positive contradiction. God is great. Allahu Akbar. Okay. Mass paranoia. Why don't you argue more about moral realism and or veganism, ethics, unless you don't care as much relative to God arguments, which is fine. Maybe I'll be the new allegedly vegan. I've considered doing it. I just think that there's like, I think ethics is like an entire field is quite messy. And I think vegan ethics especially. I think that there's like, okay, I fall on the side that being vegan is the correct thing to do. But I think that there's like pretty insane implications of being vegan. I just think the implications of not being vegan are like way crazier. So I don't know. I don't like to debate on topics that have like crazy bullet bites for your side. So I would need to like find some way to resolve like the bullet bites that seem to be entailed by things like, I don't know, it seems like most arguments for veganism entail that if there's like, I don't know, like 3 dogs standing on one side of the trolley problem and like a human standing on the other, that you should like have the human get plowed down to save the dogs. That's kind of crazy. That's a bit wild. predator culling, depending on how you get to the vegan position. But yeah, sometimes I do the debate about like why is it wrong to be lesbian. I haven't done that one in a while. But that one feels like your God himself, LeBron James, dunking on like the Make-A-Wish kid a little bit. The guys who argue against like the acceptability, the permissibility of like a lesbian relationship, like these guys are like seriously stupid. And you just dunk the fuck out of them. But anyway, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence in the very next guest. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Oop. Hey,
Hello.
Gustavo, how's it going? How old are you?
Good. I'm in my 30s, but I wanted to talk to you because I loved the thought patterns that you have, and I always like to challenge myself to basically express my beliefs better, right? So
Sure, yeah.
this is good.
Yeah, that's great. What religion are you?
Something similar to Gnosticism.
Sure. So you think that, do you believe like all of like the wooey shit? Like you think that there's like some all good God who created like an evil God who's like deceiving us about shit, and then that God is like in charge of the earth?
Yeah. Well, so basically, like most of the Gospels were written by Greeks, right? So they use a lot of allegories and stuff like that to talk about God. But yeah, the Old Testament God is definitely evil, right? Just like the Gnosticism says, it is definitely evil, and not necessarily evil. It's more like human, right? It has good and bad, right? It's like, but it can do evil things too. So it's like a lesser level. It's like it didn't evolve as much as what we saw in the New Testament.
So the problem is that there's like multiple Bible verses that say explicitly in the Old Testament that everything God does is just. Like Psalm 145:17, for example, says, "The Lord is righteous in all his ways and faithful in all he does." So it's saying explicitly that everything he does is righteous.
Yeah, so basically what it was is like the Old Testament God was basically like a construct of that time, right? Like the Israel. I don't want to say Israel because it sounds like anti-Semitic.
No, like the Israelites.
kinda like-
You can, if you say the Israelites, people will know. Also, never
Yeah,
mind.
the
We'll move
Israelites,
past
right?
that.
So basically the government created that God. It took kind of like a government frame, right? Kind of like superstition. Like, for example, it is bad luck if you go underneath a ladder, right? So if you go underneath a ladder, it's bad luck. Why? Because maybe at some point somebody did that and somebody fell.
Oop, hello?
For you to be good, it's better not to do that, right? Because otherwise, and they say that just so people listen, but in reality, there is no bad luck about going underneath a ladder. It's just that they just want to prevent people to drop the people on the ladder. So a lot of the laws in the Old Testament are good, like don't kill, don't steal. These are laws to keep to kind of like guide people through something better.
But do you think it's like
not
true?
enough.
Do you think the Old Testament is true?
It is pointing to the truth, but it's not the truth.
Okay, I mean, how do we arrive at the truth?
By looking inside. So that's where Jesus comes, right? So that's the New Testament. That's when Jesus says we need to kind of like inside, instead of going outside, like in the Old Testament, we actually need to go in the inside. So Jesus has like an extra moral level, right? So he's like, in the Old Testament is don't kill, right? In the New Testament is if you think about killing, it's like you kill already, right? So it's like more strict. But it's not because it's more strict in the sense that it's just trying to point out that rules are not enough that you actually need to be a good person.
Okay.
That you need to inside, you need to be a good person, right?
Okay,
So
how do we know that isn't just like an allegory?
It is an allegory.
Oh,
that's what
what's
he's saying.
What's the truth then? Do you wait? Okay, let's get like a point blank answer. Do you think that a mind created the universe?
The universe is an expression of the mind. Yes.
But do you think that like a mind outside of the universe created the universe?
It's kind of like emerges from the mind. It's not like created it, but it emerged from the mind. Did it
emerge from a mind outside of the universe?
So basically, this is like we have when we talk about the universe, we always think about the classical universe. In Gnosticism, they talk this about the material world, right? They say the material world, right? But in order to not confuse people, we can call it just a classical universe. Right, but Gnosticism is the material world, right? That's where the demiurge exists.
Did a mind outside of it create it, though? Is the question.
It's basically the way the mind expresses. So the mind, there is not like there is a mind outside of it, because the classical universe also is expression of the fundamental, which is God, right? The fundamental is God.
Wait, so it's produced by itself?
Yes. So basically, it's like this.
I don't think that's. I think that's like nonsensical to say that like the mind or like the universe is caused by the thing that's within the universe.
So it's like think like this way. I think maybe the words were not the right ones, but so there is. Let's think about classical universe. In Gnosticism is called material world, right? But we can call it classical universe. Then God is what we call consciousness, awareness, right? So
do you think, okay, wait, I'm sorry, then this might just be a verbal dispute. When I say God isn't real, do you think I'm saying that consciousness doesn't exist?
No, what I'm saying
is then what do we disagree on?
To me, consciousness is God.
Okay, what's the argument for that?
What do you mean?
Like, what's your justification for thinking that God is consciousness itself?
Because consciousness is the way it is described, right? Is by every single ancient people, right? It's like
so consciousness is the way that it's described. Well, I mean, I'm not all knowing.
So okay, so yeah, well, consciousness is omnipresent. It's
not all knowing.
It's
also I don't grant that it's omnipresent.
Because look, there is time doesn't exist outside classical reality. That's why you had the problem with that time always existed, right? Because time only exists in classical reality. But if you go to a fundamental level, which is consciousness, it doesn't exist.
Wait, sorry. Okay, I feel like we're moving past this too quickly. You said consciousness has all the properties typically ascribed to God. My consciousness is not all knowing. My consciousness is not all powerful. My consciousness is not all good. None of these things are true.
You're talking about an individual level, right? So in the classical realm, in the material world, your mind has a filter, which is your body, right? It has a filter, which is your timeline. Basically, everything that you were exposed to when you were born, there were in social constructs, social conditioning, your genetics, all of that limits your perception, right? So basically, you have free will in the sense, in extent, but it's limited because you are basically getting bombarded with all these different options.
Okay, so here's what just took place, it seems. You said God is the entirety of consciousness. I ask you, what's the argument for that? You say, well, the entirety of consciousness has all the properties attributed to God. I point out multiple properties that are attributed to God that all of consciousness does not have. And then, and it feels like there was like no response to that.
Okay, I think that's where the confusion came for me when you say that, because when you mention consciousness, I thought that you were talking at an individual level, but you were asking at
at like an entire level. Like all of consciousness is not all knowing. There are things that are not known by any consciousness.
This is why, because you assume that the classical reality is always changing, right? That's why you think that the consciousness doesn't know everything. But remember that consciousness is at a fundamental level, so it's not limited by time like in the classical reality is. In classical reality, is always changing, right? So from our perspective, because we are kind of like a kind of like expression of the bigger consciousness, each of us, then we can perceive change.
Then I have no idea what you're even saying at this point. You're saying
Okay.
like I don't know what consciousness is if you're saying consciousness doesn't change.
So consciousness is awareness, right?
Okay.
It's for
And
example,
does awareness change?
Awareness at a fundamental level, no, it doesn't.
I don't know what
it's-
awareness at a fundamental level refers to.
Awareness is the fact that you exist, right? So awareness is, right? And awareness is kind of
That
like knowing.
seems like straightforward nonsense, right? So a rock exists. I don't think like the rock has
At a
like
classical
awareness
level.
of its existence.
Is okay. So this is how you want to look at it, right? So you think, right? And a lot of times, like even Descartes, he thought, okay, I think, and therefore I exist, right? But he was missing a layer, right? He was missing a layer because there is another layer deeper than that. That is your awareness that you're thinking. So like if you stop for a moment and you try to look at your thoughts, it's self-evident that there is something there observing, watching, seeing those thoughts.
What was the argument that I just made, and how do you think what you said responded to it?
What do you mean?
I put forward an argument
the
just
rock.
now.
Like,
Yeah, about the rock.
Yeah, there was about the rock. You mentioned earlier. I heard it that can God create a rock?
No.
so heavy that he cannot lift it?
Wait, so like a rock exists, but I don't think a rock is like aware of itself.
Yeah. Yes. So basically, what happens is like consciousness is everything, right? It's a fundamental level, and then there is individuals.
I don't think a
right?
rock
Like
is consciousness.
No, it emerges from consciousness.
Okay, but it's not consciousness. And
It is expression of consciousness.
what's the argument for that?
What do you mean by the argument for that?
Like, why would you think that that's true, that it emerges from consciousness?
Well, I mean, there has been some explanations, but I'm not sure if people will agree with that. But the explanations that I can make sense of is, so basically we have the material world, right? So the material world is everything is kind of like determined, right? That's already the consciousness already made a decision, and that's what it manifests as the material world, right? But at a fundamental level, the decision is just choices. You can choose one or the other, but it is not determined yet, right? So what you see as
That's
a
just
rock,
to presuppose your conclusion. This is a circular argument. I'm asking you, what's the justification for thinking that a rock emerges from consciousness, and then you just are reiterating that consciousness is the fundamental level and everything emerges from it? I don't grant that consciousness is the fundamental level and everything emerges from it. Why would I think that a rock, for example, emerges from consciousness?
okay, so why does it express itself? And the reality is that that's just the nature of consciousness. Right?
I
So
don't
that's
even
why
know
it's
what
so
that
difficult
question
to
is
express.
asking.
So no, it's not a question. So what you're asking, right, is the reason why it's so difficult to understand it is because the expression of that rock is just expression of consciousness.
Why would I think that? Why would I think that it has no existence other than an expression of consciousness?
So there are three fundamental things, right? You can say, I guess, right? You can divide it into three. Kind of like, okay, so the consciousness is one fundamental. The other fundamental, I will say, is kind of like free will, right? And the other one is kind of like it expresses itself. So that expression is kind of like fundamental.
Okay. I'm moving on to the next guest. This is like a perfect example of why I ask that people believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Otherwise, I end up with like 15 minutes of yap. Wakanda God, thanks so much for the super chat. I remember wasting your time on teleology. Guess I was decent. Keep it up. You're doing God's work. Yeah, hey, well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm the Big Cheese. Thanks so much for the super chat. Isaiah 45:7, 1 John 3:8, John 8:44, Revelations 13:8. Prove the fall is an inside job by God. Why did God create angels that can grape humans and didn't stop it. Why God intentionally made Satan evil? It's a false flag. That's great. I fucking love the conspiracy theory. That kicks ass. That's great. Yeah, like the biblical conspiracy theory. It's all there. It's all there. It's all connected. Look at the cross references. Elkiana, thanks so much for the super chat. My people got slaughtered and culture removed by folk speaking from God's name. Yep, true. TTR, 12 CRF 125. Thanks so much for the $50 super chat. Holy shit, that's incredible. Let's get a big W for TTR 12 CRF 125. Big supers like this are really beneficial to me. They allow me to do quite a bit with the stream. I can do everything that I want. I can get all the equipment that I want. I'm thinking about upgrading my stream setup soon, so I appreciate the donations. Daniel, thanks so much for the super chat. Unironically, this isn't about this last color. This is about like a lot of colors ago. Unironically, F this color. Thanks so much for the $6.66, Daniel. I appreciate you. Grimlock, thanks so much for the $10 for hydration reminder for thine stream lord. Let's get a massive W for Grimlock. I hope you're doing well. All right, let's go to the next guest. Taylor. Hey, how's it going?
Hold on, I'm having some connection issues.
All good, all good.
Hello?
Yep. Are you there? Hello? Halar? Good eye, Mike. Crikey. All right. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Whoa, not everyone in the comment section saying Lou. Brutal. Damn, that's sad. That person waited like forever. Okay, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. If you don't do that, don't request to join. With that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
I'm big dick. I love dick. I love dick. I love dick.
Okay.
Ugh.
Sounds good, bud. You spent a lot of time waiting for that. I think you should start loving hobbies. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, why are you so quiet?
Can't hear me?
Like barely. You sound like super quiet.
How about now?
A bit better, yeah. That's probably fine. Yeah, how old are you?
25.
Oop, actually wait, you gotta...
Hello?
I feel like I can barely hear you.
Hello?
Yep, that's better, yeah.
That's better?
Yep. How old are you?
25.
Yep. What religion?
I'm Catholic.
Okay, what makes you think God exists?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of evidence that Jesus existed and that
I
he
agree.
rose from the dead.
Oh, I disagree with that. So I agree Jesus existed. I think we have good historical evidence for that. I disagree that he rose from the dead. I don't think we have like any evidence for that.
Yeah, I mean, have you looked into like the Shroud of Turin at all?
Yeah, I have. What would you make of the fact that when it was radiometrically dated, when they did like the radiocarbon dating on it, it came back as being from the 13th century?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that actually was from some repairs. I think they refuted that original study in a newer study.
Yeah, what's the name of the study? Because I've gotten like tons of people making that exact claim, and not one of them has been able to give me the name of the study that refutes it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't give you the study either, but
Okay.
if people have done research on the image that's imprinted on the cloth, and there's no way any technology from the time or anything before that, like it's not paint, the image that's on there was like imprinted from a high light source or a lot of emitting of light.
That might be a little bit compelling if in fact it actually is exactly paint. It's if you want like a study on that that finds that what it is red ochre, which is like a byproduct, or it's like a product that you make with clay. The study is titled "The Shroud of Turin: Blood or Artist's Pigment" by Walter McCrone. They evaluate it and find that actually paint is exactly what it is.
I think actually most recent studies on the cloth say that it's not.
Like what? Name a study.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, I can research right now, but that's kind of asking a lot. I'm just on my phone.
It should be like quick, right? To find like the study that finds that it's like blood.
Okay, well, why do you believe God isn't real?
Because I think that, so if Christianity were true, then Catholicism would be true, because it's like the true strain of Christianity, but Catholicism is like obviously false. Like the metaphysics of Catholicism are like completely crazy.
Yeah, I'm not here to defend Catholicism.
Yeah, so that just seems to be like an indictment of Christianity because Catholicism would be the true denomination.
There's arguments for that. I know people think like Orthodox is the true correct way to follow Jesus or whatever, but I think if you just believe in Jesus Christ, that's the closest like way to get to God.
You don't think that, okay. You don't think that it's like faith and acts?
Yeah, through Christ. But it all starts with believing in Christ.
Okay. Yeah, that's like totally fine. Okay, so you're not willing to defend Catholicism.
No, I mean I'm not a huge believer in like organized religion like that, just because so many people have done wrong in those areas, and it kind of makes a bad frame for Jesus and the rest of the Holy Spirit and God.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll give you an argument for why God doesn't exist. Do you think God knows what time it is?
I mean, he can see any time,
but does he know right now what time it is?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Sure. So then you would say what God knows is constantly changing?
Not necessarily what he knows is constantly changing. Like you're just talking about you're talking about time in specific.
Yeah, like
he's outside of time.
Like there's like a piece of knowledge that God has, and that piece of knowledge is changing.
Yeah, so like if God were to look at my life, he could see past, present, future, and like what happens based on the decision I'm making at the moment.
I'm not asking if he knows like past, present, and future. I'm asking, does he know right now what time it is?
Yeah.
Okay, and right now what time it is changing, right?
Yeah, it's time.
So then what God knows with respect to what time it is right now changes. So God's knowledge changes.
But if God can look at any time, it doesn't make sense to say that.
Looking at like every time is different from knowing what time it is right now.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand your point.
Okay, there's like a fact of the matter as to like what time it is. Right now it's like 6 o'clock. In an hour it'll be 7 o'clock. God will know right now is 6 o'clock right now, but at 7 o'clock he's not going to know right now is 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So what he knows changes.
Yeah, time changes.
Sure. So then God's knowledge changes because what he knows with respect to time changes.
But God is not in respect to time.
Well, then he can't know what time it is.
Why not?
Because in order to do that, his knowledge would change. To know what time it is right now means that what you know is constantly changing as the time changes.
But if God is outside of that time construct, there's no reason to believe that he can't do both.
Well, then that would just be a
or that
contradiction.
it's past our point of logic.
Well, that would just be a contradiction.
I mean, how so?
Yeah, because what God knows must change because the time that it is must change, but also God's knowledge is unchanging. If God knows what time it is right now, and what time it is right now changes, and what God knows changes.
Okay, I mean, I guess I'll give you that. Like, I don't really understand where you're trying to go.
It's just a contradiction.
What's a contradiction? You said what I said before was a contradiction, and now that I'm agreeing, you say it's a contradiction.
Okay, sure.
As well.
So you're saying what God knows changes. That means that he's not outside of time.
But he is outside of time.
Not if he changes.
He doesn't change.
His knowledge changes.
I wouldn't say that we're able to speak on God's knowledge and whether or not it changes.
But it must if God knows what time it is right now. Because what time it is right now changes. So if God knows what time it is right now, then God's knowledge changes.
So you're saying he can be better informed based on the time?
I'm saying that if he knows what time it is right now, he either knows the time that it is right now, in which case his knowledge changes and he's not outside of time, or he does know what time, or he lacks that knowledge, in which case I have some knowledge that God lacks, so he's not all-knowing.
Yeah, he definitely knows what time it is. Like,
then his knowledge changes.
Okay, sure, his knowledge changes.
Then he's in time, because everything that changes is in time.
I wouldn't say he's in time. So say I make a decision right now, and at this time, say 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
He can see, all right, if he does this, or that decision, that's going to happen. But so once I make that decision, now he knows, okay, that's the decision he made. Now this is what's going to happen. Or
So-
this is like the subset of things that can happen.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about like his knowledge of like future possibilities. I'm talking about his knowledge of like present.
Yeah,
But-
but gaining
sure, so his knowledge changes.
Say he's gaining knowledge by removing
So
what
everything
options
that
that can't
changes
be
is in
anymore.
time. I guess, like, would you disagree that everything that changes is in time?
Everything that changes in time. Yeah, time is with respect to change.
Sure. So
Or
because
changes in
God's
time.
knowledge changes, then his knowledge must be in time.
He can look through the lens of time.
No, if his knowledge changes, then it must be in time. Everything that changes is in time.
In our view, yes.
Okay, so are you saying that
We are not
actually
able to
there are
see
some things
as
that
God.
change that aren't in time?
We can't speak on God like that.
Okay, so then would you say that there are some things that change that aren't in time?
In our perspective, no, because change is with respect to time.
But with respect
Change
to
happens over
God,
time.
would you say...
In our world, in our view,
Okay, I'm like super unclear as to the view that you hold. Maybe what we could do is
What
like
do
we
you
could like formalize it. So you already agree that God's knowledge changes.
that's if he's looking through the lens of time.
Are you saying like is this true or is this not true? I'm not asking like if he's doing X, Y, or Z. Is it true or is it not true? Is there any circumstance where God's knowledge changes?
Sure.
Okay, so God's knowledge changes. Everything that changes is in time. Therefore, God's knowledge is in time.
Yeah, but that statement that everything that changes is in time, that is from our perspective.
Do you disagree with this?
No, I do not. From my perspective, that's how the world works, that's how the universe works.
Okay,
Change is with respect to time. But
Okay.
God is outside of that.
so then with respect to your perspective, you would say that God's knowledge is in time.
Repeat that?
So with respect to God's knowledge, you would say that it's in time.
If he sees it fit for that to be if he's looking at this specific time, then sure.
Okay, so God's knowledge is in time.
It can be.
It can be.
Yeah.
The fuck? Does it change
God
from
is
being in
all-powerful, so
time
it
and
can-
out of time?
Yes, because he is out of our perception of
Okay,
time.
well, that's a change, which means that he would be in time. If God
But
changes from
he's
being
outside
out
of
of
time.
time to being in time, then God is one of the things that changes, which means that he would be in time.
I mean, you're kind of just repeating like what you said.
Okay, do you have like a
God is
response?
outside of all of that, so I don't understand why we're going back to there.
Well, he's not outside of that, because if he changes from being outside of time to being in time, then he's one of the things that changes. So everything that changes is in time. So that would place God squarely in time.
Okay,
That means he's not the creator of time,
why not?
because he's in time.
But I told you he's outside of time.
You just
He can do
said that
both.
he's
I don't
okay.
even think as like humans we're able to comprehend what.
You just said
what
that
God
he
can and can't
changes
do.
from being outside of time to being in time. That's a change.
Okay,
Things that change are in time.
from our perspective, yes, that's correct.
So from your perspective, God is in time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Okay, sure. That means that from your perspective, God's not the creator of time.
No, that's false. Because from my perspective, God is outside of time, but He can be in my time.
Okay, so from your perspective, God is in time. If God is in time, then he isn't the creator of time. So therefore, from your perspective...
I mean, I never said that.
Okay, you disagree that if God is in time, then he isn't the creator of time?
Yeah, I disagree. He's not that you say he isn't the creator of time.
Well, then he would create himself. If God is in time, then he can't create time.
No, I'm saying God can create time.
But he is in time.
He can be in time. Again, like it's
Then he
outside
would
of
create himself.
the human logic. Like,
Are you saying
what
God
God
created
can
himself?
and can't do, whether that be create time, create himself, it's outside of our understanding.
Are you saying that like God is outside of logic?
Our logic, yes.
Okay, so God can do contradictions?
Sure.
So then you reject like the law of non-contradiction as being like a law of logic?
They're human laws, yeah.
Okay, I mean, how are we supposed to reason about God when you're rejecting logic?
It's human logic.
Okay. Am I supposed to use like my whale logic? Like, how are you supposed to arrive at the conclusion that God exists
No, we're
if you
not
can't
able
do
to
that
use God's
logically?
logic. You can't apply like our
Sure.
logic to.
So then you would
the
say that
creator
there's
of everything.
absolutely no logical way to arrive at a belief in God, that it's an illogical belief?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
That's what you just said, is that you can't apply logic to God. So if you
I'm
arrive
saying
at the
God does
belief
not
in
have to
God, you
abide
didn't
by
do
our
that
logic. No.
through logic.
I think you're misunderstanding me.
I must be.
God does not abide by our understanding of logic.
Yes, so then how could we ever arrive at the conclusion that he exists on the basis of logic?
Because he's given us enough evidence to believe that he's there.
But that would be using our human logic. And
Yeah.
God doesn't abide by that.
I know, but you were trying to use our human logic to define what God can and cannot do. And
Yes,
you can't do
exactly.
that.
So sure, then you agree we can't use our human logic to reason about God. And you know, using all the evidence that he provided us to form the belief in God would be using our human logic to arrive at that. But of course we can't do that. So therefore, there's no way to use our human logic to arrive at a belief in God.
No, we can totally use our logic to arrive at the belief in God, but we cannot use our logic to define what God can and cannot do. And where
Sure,
he
so
can
we
and
can
cannot
use
be.
logic to prove God, but not to disprove God.
I'm not sure I understand that.
It sounds like you're saying like we can reason about whether or not God exists by looking at like the evidence around us, but we can't reason about whether or not God exists when looking at like his properties being contradictory.
Yeah, exactly, because he's outside of our
Okay,
scope.
Yeah. Do you understand that that's like profoundly like intellectually dishonest to say, you know, we can use logic to prove God, but not to disprove him?
I mean, I don't think so. I think if you're talking about a God who is outside of everything that we know, that it makes perfect sense.
Okay. I mean, I just think that it's like a gibberish position.
I mean, if you want to, use names like that, it's okay.
I mean, like,
but I don't think
you don't like register like a problem with that. Like that doesn't like pop out to you as like something like obviously wrong. It doesn't pop out to you as something obviously wrong, that the way that you've set up the problem, like there's literally no word that could come out of my mouth, no set of words that could come out of my mouth that would make you like change your mind about this topic. Like I could easily think of like words that could come out of your mouth that would make me change my mind. If you provided
what would make you change your mind?
If you provided like some sort of like contradiction in God's non-existence, then I would change my mind about God existing.
I mean, yeah, okay. So say we made a little robot and like it can't understand what we can and can't do because it gets turned on and off. Inside the robot's thinking, they're gonna be like, where does this human go when I'm when I'm asleep or whatever? Like, what can they do? What can't they do? The robot's not gonna understand that. But as regular humans who created the robot, we're gonna understand that.
Could the robot think that we both like exist and don't exist simultaneously?
What?
Could the robot think that we both like exist and don't exist simultaneously?
Think that we both exist and don't exist simultaneously?
Yeah, because I'm not asking like, well, how does God know what time it is?
So from the robot's
or like,
view,
why does God know what time it is?
Maybe it's like, holy shit.
I'm pointing out like a logical contradiction in God. I'm not asking like an open-ended question. Yeah, go for it.
I know, but I'm using the robot as an analogy to explain it. So say the robot gets turned off.
Yeah.
Right. And us as humans, maybe it assumes, oh, like the human goes away too, because it's off, right?
Okay.
But while it's asleep, we do repairs on it or something like that. And then the robot gets turned back on and it's like, holy shit, like I'm fixed now or whatever. How did that happen? Like the human must have came and done this like outside of time or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, no, it just didn't address the question at all. I mean, it made sense. It just had nothing to do with what I said.
You were asking if
like, could the robot believe that we both exist and don't exist simultaneously? You didn't give a situation where the robot both thinks and doesn't think that we exist.
Yeah, if the robot's off, maybe it thinks we don't exist, like it doesn't exist because it's off.
The robot thinks it doesn't exist?
Yeah, if it's off.
The fuck?
Like who knows what happens? It's
the robot.
It's an analogy.
The robot thinks it doesn't exist. I mean, if it's thinking at all, then it must exist.
But if it's off, it doesn't have the ability to think. So maybe it thinks.
Then it's not thinking
in a scope
that it doesn't exist.
Okay, but it's just an analogy. It's not a perfect analogy.
That's what I'm asking for. Is there like some scenario where the robot could both think and not think that the human exists?
Yeah, if it's off and like the computer's still running or whatever inside it.
So it would think that the human exists and it would think that the human doesn't exist.
Yeah, because it's off. So it's like, okay, what happened to this human?
I thought it didn't have thoughts.
When it comes back on, it sees that it had what?
I thought it didn't have thoughts if it was off.
Well, there's like still a computer inside it running.
Okay, so does it have thoughts or does it not have thoughts?
It's a computer.
But does it have thoughts?
Say it's like AI or something. Sure, it has thoughts.
Okay. So it would both think and not think.
Yeah, so it would think that we don't exist because it can't see us or it's off.
Okay, so you think that there are like some true contradictions.
Then it would also have a reason to believe that we do exist because it got a repair while it was off. So it's like
so does it think that we exist?
So it's confused. And then what?
Does it think that we exist?
Yeah, it thinks both. Because it can see us when it's awake.
Yeah.
But when it's off, it gets repaired or something, and then it's like, it's off, so it's like, okay, maybe it doesn't exist. But then it gets repaired, so like, okay, maybe it does exist. It's inside the robot's thinking. The robot can't understand what the human can and can't do, outside of its frame.
So there is like a contradiction in your worldview then.
In what sense?
The sense that you just affirmed, that you think a robot could both be thinking something and not thinking that thing. That's a contradiction.
I mean,
so you believe in like contradictions. Is that correct?
I'm what?
You believe in would it be accurate to say that you believe in contradictions?
I mean, not in the world.
You just described a robot that was both thinking a thing and not thinking that thing simultaneously.
You asked if it was thinking that we exist and do not exist.
If it's thinking that we exist and thinking that we don't exist, and
Yeah.
not thinking that we exist.
It can have two thoughts, can it not?
So one of them is the absence of a thought. Not thinking that we exist is separate from thinking that we don't exist. So could the robot be thinking that we exist and not thinking that we exist?
Yeah, sure.
So that's a contradiction. So you believe in contradictions.
Okay, sure.
Oh, okay. I mean, I take that as like a reductio. That just violates the law of non-contradiction.
Okay, but that law, it's still, again, inside the human nature, the human law of logic. Like,
Okay. What other
if God
logic
is
am I
outside
supposed
of
to
everything,
use?
then why would it be God if it's not outside of what we can and can't think?
Okay. I mean, it just seems like at that point there's no way to reason about anything if all of our laws of logic
I think
are...
that's perfect reason.
Oh, sorry. And is that a human law of logic, or is that some of the other law of logic?
Sure, I think it's maybe philosophical.
Sure. So you're using your human logic, but we can't use our human logic to reason about God.
I said we can use our logic to reason that God is real, but we can't use our logic to reason on what he can or cannot do.
Yeah, then your view is unfalsifiable.
In the human path of logic, sure.
Sure. And if
I mean,
something's
why? Why is it
if a
unfalsifiable?
hypothesis
I don't
is
understand that.
unfalsifiable, literally nothing could be evidence for it. If nothing can be evidence against it, then nothing can be evidence for it either.
But there's plenty of evidence for it.
Not if nothing could ever be evidence against it.
Not if nothing could ever be evidence against it.
Yeah, it's literally how evidence is defined, right? Like you evaluate evidence based on like the opposite hypothesis. Like you have a piece of evidence and you have two hypotheses, Christianity is true, Christianity is not true, and you ask, okay, which hypothesis is this piece of evidence more expected on? If it's impossible for it to be expected on one of them, if literally there could be no evidence for one of these hypotheses, then there likewise can't be any evidence for the other one. It makes no predictions.
I mean, I honestly think you're making it too complicated.
I think it's like the perfect amount of complicated, right? It's just like basic. It's called Bayesian inference. It's like a way that you can objectively figure out probabilities.
Okay, but that's again inside of our world. Like,
does 2 + 2 not equal 4 to God?
That's how he made it, yeah.
Okay. Does God think Bayes' theorem is false?
Maybe to him it's false. That's just the way that we chose to think about things.
Well, then that would be like a logical contradiction if Bayes' theorem is false because it's like objectively provable. They're like mathematical proofs for it.
Okay, sure. But that's like our understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
you have no reason to believe that God would be outside of our understanding?
I have... sorry. I have no reason to think that anything that's outside of logic could exist because it's illogical.
But it's our logic.
So you do believe things that are illogical?
Yeah, there's plenty of things that happen that are logical that I don't have an explanation for.
So you hold illogical beliefs?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, is the belief in God logical or illogical?
I think it's reasonable to believe that there is a creator and that Jesus Christ came down and died.
So is it logical or illogical?
I'll say it's logical.
Okay. Sure. So why would I think that there can be like... I don't know. I guess like what's your argument that it's like acceptable for there to be a thing where you can use logic to prove it but not to disprove it?
You can use logic to disprove it, not...
Why would I think that there is such a thing?
Well, because it's God. Like, it's outside of our...
Why would that
scope.
mean that... Yeah, I guess like why would him being God mean that you can use logic to prove his existence but not to disprove it?
Use logic to disprove it, but not to disprove it. I mean, because that's how we think. Like, we're stuck in that way of thinking.
Okay, then why
But
wouldn't
if
it be
there is a
consistent?
God, you'd have the reason to believe that he's outside of that frame of thinking. So,
but that uses my human logic, and God's outside of that.
but the questions you were asking were pertaining to like God's abilities, which would 100% be outside of our logic.
So God can have contradictory
I think
abilities.
our logic can definitely be used to justify the existence.
But wouldn't that be outside of our logic?
How? It's not pertaining
Is the
to his
existence of
abilities and what
God
he can and
outside
can't
of...
do.
Wait, sorry, does God's existence include his abilities?
Sure.
And those are...
Like,
that's
we know
outside
he
of our
has
human
abilities.
logic. That's outside of our human logic, his abilities.
That what? Yeah, because it's God.
Sure. So then his existence is also outside of our human logic.
I mean, not necessarily.
Necessarily, right? You said his
No.
abilities are outside of our human logic. His existence includes his abilities.
Okay. So take a car.
Yeah.
The creator of a car. Obviously, the human's abilities are outside of the car's logic. The car can't understand what the fuck a human can do, right?
A car doesn't have like a mind.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I grant the
So
car
think of
doesn't
God as the
understand.
human
Yes.
and us as the car.
That doesn't seem very analogous. The car doesn't think.
Okay, maybe to God we don't think.
Then God
because
is
our
like
thinking is so small
then God is a false
compared
belief.
to his.
If God thinks that we don't think, then God is wrong.
It's an analogy,
Okay.
not a factual statement.
I'm not really sure what point it's meant to demonstrate.
Okay, so the car can't comprehend what humans can and can't do, right?
That's correct. The car doesn't think.
So imagine the car does have a mind, but obviously it can't believe that, or it can't understand what humans can and can't do.
Okay, so
But it knows that humans exist.
you should
because
probably
they
just
drive 'em
use
around.
like an animal or something for this analogy.
See, but an animal is different because we didn't create an animal.
Okay.
So we created a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yep.
car, it knows humans exist because it gets driven around by them, right?
Sure. And is it
But
using
it
its
has
car
no
logic?
idea.
Is our existence inside of or outside of its car logic?
Inside of its car logic. Our
Sure. And is our ability to drive the car around inside of its car logic or outside of its car logic?
Yeah, inside of its car logic. But our
Sure,
ability to
then
say walk around
our
and use the
abilities in
bathroom
this
and do whatever,
example,
then it doesn't
the
understand that.
car would know our abilities, at least some of them in this example.
Yeah, and we definitely know some of God's abilities,
Like what?
like healing and forgiveness.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any reason to think that either of those things exist with respect to God.
I mean, there's plenty of stories about like miracles and things like that.
What would you make of the fact that prayer has no medical benefit when studied in a lab setting?
I don't think that's true, actually.
Okay, I can set you some studies on it.
You're saying prayer has no medical benefit,
Yep.
like
Yeah, when it's
like
studied
in
in a
terms
lab,
of,
it
like,
has no
your health?
medical benefit.
in terms of your health?
Like in terms of like the outcome. Yeah, like the medical outcome. There's like you get a group of people, half of them get prayed for, half of them don't get prayed for. No medical benefit. Okay. This study is titled Intercessory Prayer and Cardiovascular Disease, a Progression in a Coronary Care Unit Population, a Randomized Controlled Trial. What do we got?
Okay, I mean, you can't ask God to just heal people for like some scientific study, But like I think we could agree that, some form of prayer like meditation or whatever is good for your mental health, and it helps your body, right?
Maybe, but that's true even if you don't pray to God.
But putting it in some form of prayer.
If by prayer you just mean like a ritual, yeah, that's true. Even if there's like no, like even if you just meditated, you just try to focus on like your breath.
But like, yeah, focusing on your breath, sitting with your thoughts, that's
Why would that
prayer.
mean?
Can we consider that prayer?
Sure. Why would that indicate that God exists though?
Well, where do you think some of like your good thoughts come from, and like
My brain?
some of your logic and your consciousness?
My brain?
Yeah, but who did that? Who made your brain?
Evolution? Who do you think
Evolution.
made
So who made the path to evolution?
I don't know, like it evolves in accordance with like statistics, there was chemical reactions that produce the very first cells with the very first genome, and then just based on statistical laws, the things that are more likely to survive and reproduce are going to survive and reproduce at a higher rate.
Yeah, so what made those laws and that, that those reactions like able to occur?
Well, I think that statistics are just going to have like necessary, like I think mathematical facts are going to have necessary existence.
Yeah, for sure. So who created the mathematical facts?
They're necessary. They aren't created.
But how did they come to be?
They're necessary. They always existed.
So how do we know that they always existed?
Yeah, because if mathematical facts exist, then they would exist necessarily. All possible mathematical facts possibly exist. Therefore, via the S5 axiom of modal logic, we would be able to deduce that all these facts are actual.
Yeah, you just like threw out a bunch of stuff. I don't even know what you really said.
Well, I mean, you're asking like a complex question. If the answer went over your head, you're probably asking the wrong question.
Okay, what was the question?
Your question was, how do we know that they always existed? So I gave you an argument that they're all necessary.
Yeah, so who made them necessary? Like what
they
brought
are
that together?
Necessary.
What brought the properties together?
Whoa, sorry. There's nothing that makes something necessary. Necessary means that it exists in all possible worlds. If it was a possibility, then it must exist because a possible necessity is an actual necessity.
Okay, but where did that come from?
It's necessary.
But where was that? Error. Where did that necessity come from?
Where did God come from?
How am I supposed to justify that?
Okay, sure.
He's outside of everything.
Okay, sure. Yep. As I thought.
He's outside of our scope of understanding. That's why I'm saying, like.
Sure. So you want me to have like a trillion? You want me to have all the answers, even the ones that you don't understand? But then I ask you a single question, and you have no answer.
What was your single question that I had no answer to?
Yeah, who made God? Where did God come from? Who put God's properties together?
God's outside of our thoughts. Like we.
And who made God outside of our thoughts?
God.
Oh, sure. Wait, so God made himself?
God made himself?
Yeah, did God make himself?
I mean, how am I supposed to, deduce that from?
Oh, sure. I'll just say, well, then to all of your questions, I'll just say I don't know, and then sure. So how do we arrive at God at that point?
How do we arrive at God?
Yeah, let's say I have no idea where life came from, or why mathematical facts exist. How do we arrive at God then?
Well, I don't know. You see something like, so say you're a kid, you see a car. Somebody must have made that car. Right?
Yeah, it's because we know where cars come from.
Yeah. And we know the car didn't just like happen.
Yeah.
So then why can't somebody who has no knowledge put the same thing? Okay.
Why would we think that if somebody had no knowledge of a machine that they would assume that it was a machine and like man-made? People stumble upon machines all the time for the very first time and think that they're, I don't know, like natural. For example, there are like reports of people seeing planes for the first time and assuming that it was like birds.
Okay, I mean, sure.
So it seems like our knowledge with regard to this,
using planes is seeing people thinking they're birds, like they're far away, they don't have an up close look at it. Like say a kid looks into an engine bay, they're like, oh yeah, somebody probably made that.
Why?
Because how else could it have happened that way?
Kids say, I don't know, do a lot of things. There are like tons of things kids don't know.
Yeah, there's tons of things kids don't know. But if they see a car compared to the land around them, say grass, trees, plants, animals, whatever, they're like, okay, something's not like the rest. Where'd that thing come from? One of us must.
How would they know that thing is not like the rest?
Because it's just not.
Oh, God, it's not because it's just not. And who made it just not?
The humans who created the car.
Sure, yeah.
The car is nothing like a tree.
Yeah, it's guys, it's just not because it's not. We're getting like some compelling answers here.
Yeah, I mean, what you're asking is just, it doesn't make sense. Like, obviously, a car is not a tree and has no similar characteristics to a tree.
Yeah. I mean,
So something's not like the
you know,
other.
grass is not like a tree, you know, and has no similar
I mean,
characteristics
yeah, it's
to a
green, it
tree.
grows.
Sure, and the car can be green, you know. They're all made of atoms, you know. You can find similarities in anything.
Yeah, if you want to break it down to the atoms.
Yep.
But that wasn't the point.
It seems like I've genuinely no clue how you would arrive at the conclusion that one of these things like must be made by humans, couldn't have been not made by humans. If you're like a child, then you don't know anything. It seems like the sort of thing that somebody would need to tell you. Like if somebody told me that, like, you know, humans made the moon when I was a kid, I'd probably believe them.
Yeah, because you're a kid and you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the point? Like, you know, you see a complex, you know, like, you know, a new car or whatever, and you know
because I know where cars come from.
Okay, but so you're saying you know where humans come from,
Mm-hmm.
and exactly how those processes happened and formed and were created.
Yep.
You know how that was created. You know how that process was created.
Yep, it came about from evolution. Yep.
Okay, but who created that process of evolution?
Evolution just derives from the fact that things that
facts,
are
though?
whoa, calm down there.
But who created those facts?
The fact that things that are, you know, more likely to survive and reproduce are more likely to survive and reproduce. You're curious who created the law of identity?
Who made it that way?
You're curious as to why A is A? You're curious as to why a thing is itself?
Yeah.
Who made a thing itself? Do you understand that if God made it true that a thing was itself, that prior to God doing that, God wouldn't be God?
What?
What? He says, baffled by the implications of his own statement?
Oh my.
So, sure. So God made God himself, correct? Like God made God equal to God. Is that accurate?
God made God equal to God. What does that even mean?
It doesn't make sense, does it? The question of like, well, you know, who made it true that the things that were more likely to survive and reproduce are more likely to survive and reproduce? You know, when the exact question is turned on you, suddenly you're like baffled by it.
God made those processes.
Sure. So prior to God being God, was God God?
Yeah.
That's a contradiction.
To him being our God, he's outside of us. He's outside
That's a contradiction,
of our time.
bud. Prior to God being God, God was God.
It's a contradiction.
Okay, yeah.
Again, like you're talking in our logic.
Sure, yeah.
But if you're saying God was God outside
what logic are you using? What logic did you use to arrive at that conclusion?
Human logic.
Sure. So okay, you can't indict human logic when you are yourself using human logic.
But I'm not deducing his abilities.
I'm not either.
Deducing his existence.
I'm not either.
Okay, so if God...
You said God made it. You said God made the law of identity, which is the law that states that a thing is itself. So prior to God making the law of identity, which states that a thing is itself, it wouldn't be true that God is himself. The statement God is God would be false.
Again, that statement about God, talking about him and what he can and cannot do and what he is and is not.
That's not a claim about... Wait, is he existent?
Yes.
Shit. Oh, you cooked yourself. You said the statement about what he is and isn't is outside of human logic, but he is existent.
Yes.
Cool.
But what he can and can't do.
You're contradicting yourself.
Okay, sure. You can say that.
Okay. Well, this has been like exciting. All right, let's read some supers. Chris Hansen versus Predator. Thanks so much for the super chat. I breathed consciousness into an AI. Guess I'm God. No, you didn't. They don't have. They don't fucking have consciousness. Largusian. Thanks so much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Amish Bob. Thanks so much for the super chat. God is in time from my perspective. Wait. Oh, okay. Amish Bob, thanks so much for the super chat. God is in time from my perspective, but also he's not in time also from my perspective unless he wants to be, or something that totally tracks. True. Okay, I'm dropping a new video. There's a new video coming out right this second. It's titled Christian Gets Mad When Asked for Evidence. Go give it a watch. Sounds like you have no evidence. So I ask you, like, what's the evidence that they believe that? You say the New Testament. I ask, what's the evidence that the apostles wrote the New Testament? You say, what? It's just well accepted. Everyone knows that. That's not evidence. Give real evidence. Hey, how's it going?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, go check that out. It's on YouTube. Justin is live. This evil fuck. How dare he go live like every day? How could he do this to me? Yeah, he's live. Yeah, you guys should go give him a raid. Go raid Justin. All right, other than that, love all of you. Have a great time. Have a great day. I'll see you all later.